Chapter 421, That's a monster that no human can defeat. Chapter 421, That's a monster that no human can defeat. Rupert arrived at Sienna's place and stood outside the door. Teacher, how do you think I should subdue Sienna? You're a toxicologist. Just give her a curse combo, Camilla said. Don't hesitate. Knock on the door and cast your spells once the door opens. Fine. Rupert rubbed her hands, looking somewhat nervous. Although she was more powerful than Sienna, Sienna was her senior, after all. They had the same teacher. Curses would more or less harm Sienna. Rupert had never cast any spells on her friends before. I'll cast weak, then blind, then confusion, and lastly hypnosis. Will these do? Rupert asked. Yes. With Sienna's reaction, she certainly won't be able to resist. It'll be enough, Camilla nodded. Knock, knock. Rupert knocked on the door and also took out her staff. The door opened. Rupert immediately cast weak. However, the next moment, a large hand grabbed Rupert's shoulder and lifted her into the air. Astonished, Camilla was about to attack Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao looked at Camilla and pointed his finger at her. Sleep. Camilla fell asleep at once. Rupert was flabbergasted. What? Although her teacher was in soul state, she had at least 80% of her original powers. But the person before them had managed to hypnotize her instantly. Importantly, with Camilla's magical resistance, why would she fall asleep that easily? It's you. Rupert shouted. Let me go. It's painful. Oh, I remember you. Chen Zhao recognized Rupert as the girl who had suddenly run away the previous day. Her rubber ball had activated his cursed eye. Chen Zhao had been very much puzzled by all that, but now he finally got it. The girl was also a witch. She had been trying to sneak attack him the day before. Clearly, she did not expect Chen Zhao to activate the cursed eye and ruin the attempt. Today, she tried to attack him again. Chen Zhao was determined to beat her up for her wicked action. Chen, Rupert. Teacher. What's happening? Just then, Sienna walked out. Chen Zhao turned his head and asked, Sienna, do you know her? She's my junior, and the soul is my teacher. What happened to her? Is she asleep? Can souls fall asleep? Sienna, save me. He's going to kill me. Rupert grasped at straws at once. Just as Chen Zhao put Rupert back onto the floor, she took a few steps back and was about to attack him again. Chen Zhao's cursed eye, as well as the mouth of Glutton, opened. Stop. Rupert, what's wrong? Why are you attacking my friend? He's your friend. What do you think? Rupert moved her eyes in thought. Brother, I'm sorry. It's my mistake. Are you thinking about admitting defeat first and then attacking me? Chen Zhao would not believe Rupert easily. No, of course not. I would like to make a deal with you. What? Someone wants me to attack you. The person will pay me a lot for that. You pretend that you're defeated by me. When I receive the money, we'll split it. And how much is that? 120,000, Rupert replied. Wait. I'm in. Sienna was energized when she heard the amount. Aren't you going to ask for my opinions first? Chen, I really need some money now. You won't reject my request, will you? Sienna emphasized greatly on the word request as she stared at Chen Zhao with watery eyes. Who wants you to attack me? Chen Zhao asked. Someone called Pierce South. Rupert betrayed Pierce without hesitation. Chen Zhao's face darkened straight away. Do you know where he is? No. If you can find him for me, I'll give you 50,000. You won't need me to pretend to be defeated by you. Chen Zhao really hated Pierce. He did not look for Pierce, but Pierce had been wanting to harm him. He originally asked me to kill you. I rejected, Rupert added. So can you find him or not? It's hard, Rupert admitted, helpless. Should we go in and talk? Also, Chen, what happened to my teacher? She's your teacher? Yes, if she offended you, I do apologize for her. She's just hypnotized. She's fine. How do we wake her up? Sienna was surprised that Chen Zhao could hypnotize a soul, but she knew all along how powerful Chen Zhao was. Although her teacher had been very strong while alive, she was probably no match for Chen Zhao even at her best state. Wait for 12 hours, or attack her. While Chen Zhao could make a person or soul fall asleep, they would still have their instincts. Receiving damage would cause them to wake up. Sienna cast a small spell and Camilla was immediately awakened in shock. Rupert, Sienna, run. Teacher, Chen's my friend. Your friend? Yes, my friend. Camilla stared at Chen Zhao in doubt. What did you cast on me just now? Why was I hypnotized? Banshee's charm. Camilla's expression changed. You know Banshee's charm? Yes. Teacher, what's Banshee's charm? We've never heard of it before, Rupert and Sienna both asked out of curiosity. All sleeping spells developed from Banshee's charm. Camilla looked at Chen Zhao. Nobody could cast Banshee's charm. That's why people were forced to change it into the different weaker versions today. Rupert and Sienna also stared at Chen Zhao with a different look. Chen Zhao shrugged. Camilla looked at Sienna. Is he the one whom you said is going to fight Evangeline? Yup. Chen's really powerful, Sienna answered. Indeed, but I'm unsure if he can defeat Evangeline, Camilla said. That's a monster created from the souls of more than 10 witches and other evil spirits, a monster new to the world. She has not only potent spells, but also extraordinary strength. I'm quite confident about the strength part, Chen Zhao said. If she's merely a dozen times stronger than a normal person, I should be able to deal with her. No way. No human can possess such great strength. Chapter 422, Your Curse is Tasty. Chapter 422, Your Curse is Tasty. I don't have to prove it to you. I only need you to find that monster for me. You really want to fight that monster? Camilla asked. I can help you find her, but you have to promise that Sienna and Rupert won't get involved or be in danger. I don't need their help, Chen Zhao said. Teacher, can you really find Evangeline? Sienna asked, surprised. I'm familiar enough with her. We were once friends. Can we do it now? Camilla shook her head. She's hurt. She won't appear so easily. Then, fine. Notify me whenever you think you can find her. Chen Zhao glanced at Rupert. What about you, little girl? When can you find Pierce South? Don't call me little girl or else I'm gonna curse you. Rupert exploded. I'll tell you when I find him. Chen Zhao patted her head and turned around with a smile. Suddenly, he felt his body turn heavy. The mouth of gluttony opened and sucked Chen Zhao's body. He instantly recovered. Turning to Rupert, he said, You just tossed weak at me. What, you're going to attack me? Rupert looked guardedly at him. She was actually nervous that Chen Zhao would attack her. No, toss me some more curses. I think your spell was quite tasty. Chen Zhao wasn't lying. Rupert's curse was indeed tasty. At least, it was tastier than swallowing the disasters and nest of curses. The only flaw was that it wasn't as powerful. Everyone's magic tasted differently to the mouth of gluttony. Different people would have different flavors. The mouth of gluttony was clearly interested in Rupert's curse. Fuck you. Get the fuck out. Rupert was deeply hurt. She thought her curses were very powerful, but to Chen Zhao, it was just tasty. This comment was too much. She glared at Chen Zhao with clenched teeth. She decided that she would never curse Chen Zhao again. After spending the entire night at Sienna's house, the sky was already lightening as he went home. When he arrived, it was already 7 in the morning. Farley was already up. Chen, you're so late. No, how come you're so early? How is Ethan's condition? Chen Zhao kissed her. It's okay. Not dangerous. Are you going out? Farley looked at him. She still felt bad for Chen Zhao. She knew that, because of his job, he would run into many emergencies. But she still hoped that Chen Zhao could rest more, instead of pushing himself to the limits. I think you should rest today. I'll rest in the morning and see in the afternoon, Chen Zhao said. After Farley left, Chen Zhao called Tiger. Tiger, come to my place for training in the afternoon. My address is 21 Mirror Lake, Mountain Town. Turn left at the vet billboard on Route 21. After giving Tiger directions, Chen Zhao fell straight asleep. In the afternoon, Tiger's calls woke him up. Tiger had seen Chen Zhao's RV before, so he knew that Chen Zhao was pretty rich. However, he was still shocked when he saw the house. The RV cost more than the house, but it wasn't as impressive. Tiger had still been hospitalized during the housewarming party, so Chen Zhao didn't invite him. This was his first time at Chen Zhao's house. His eyes inadvertently turned envious. "Hi." Chen Zhao came downstairs, shirtless with a toothbrush in his mouth. "Take a seat. Do you want to drink anything? Other than alcohol?" Tiger had healed, but he was still recovering, so he couldn't drink. Plus, an athlete's basic requirement was to watch what they ate. "Any drink is fine," Tiger said. "There are energy drinks in the fridge. Help yourself." Chen Zhao got dressed and came back out. "Take this card." "Mr. Chen, what's this?" "From now on, I'll send $20,000 into your card every month." "Why?" "I said before that I'll invest in you. This $20,000 is my investment. I'll send it until you can make money by yourself." How much did an athlete need every month? Even just looking at food, Rupert's basic nutrition meals cost at least $200 per day. As a heavyweight athlete, Tiger couldn't afford his meals at all. Even regular food was stressful for his family. Chen Zhao knew that Tiger accepted some illegal gigs. After all, it wasn't a big secret. "This is the money for your food and training. I'll also introduce you to a professional trainer. They're obviously really skilled. I learned my techniques from them. Can you imagine that they beat me up before?" "Mr. Chen, stop joking. No one can beat you up. I'm not lying. I was once beaten up badly by that trainer. I wanted to learn boxing to take revenge, but then they ended up as my trainer." Tiger was shocked. "Did you get revenge?" "We became friends." Tiger didn't expect this story. Chen Zhao continued, "But you'll still do rehabilitation training with me. You also have to listen to me for your diet." "I understand. Today's task is swimming. Mirror Lake is 2 kilometers wide. I want you to swim to the end and back." Boxing wasn't just punching, punching, punching all day. Boxers had to train in many other sports too. For example, swimming was something practically all boxers did. Long-distance swimming could improve a boxer's endurance. Aerobic exercise was helpful for Tiger's recovery too. Chen Zhao also got into the water to accompany Tiger. Tiger was too heavy. He chose the 86 kilograms and above weight class. He weighed about 98 kilograms, which was pretty standard. Even though the boxer only had to meet the requirement for the 86 kilogram and above weight class, there was still a threshold. The closer you were to the threshold, the better your performance would be. The range was around 50 kilograms. Higher than that, your weight would weigh you down. Lower than that, your force would be affected. Tiger's weight stopped him from improving his swimming speed. This was also a great burden. "Tiger, watch the rhythm of your breathing." Chapter 423 Evil Intention. Chapter 423 Evil Intention. After Tiger left, Chen Zhao brought Samuel to the supermarket in town. "Hey, Chen, you here again for dog food?" Every time, Chen Zhao would fill the cart with various dog foods. The staff in the pet section have known him for a long time. Chen Zhao's pets would often appear in town, and many people also knew where his house was. After all, if they went to Mirror Lake, it was impossible to miss such a huge house. Mirror Lake was now private property, but Chen Zhao did not forbid people from entering. Those who were not invited or his friends could still play near the lake, as long as they did not enter the villa zone. "Yeah. Every time, the manager will praise me because the products here are sold extremely fast. He probably doesn't know that you buy most of them." "Actually, have you been eating dog food yourself?" the employee teased. "Fuck," Chen Zhao said. "If you want to try them, I'll treat you for a year." "Meow. Human, become my servant. You shall enjoy my kindness." "Chen, does your cat like me? He shouts at me every time." "Yes." Chen Zhao grabbed Samuel's neck and lifted him into the air. "He does that to everyone." As Chen Zhao left the checkout counter with a large number of items, he did not notice two pairs of eyes staring at him. That Chinese looks rich. I heard he owns a huge villa near Mirror Lake. Marion and Trigly were gangsters in town and frequent visitors to the police station. Nevertheless, they had never been kept for more than 2 days. Such gangsters could be found in almost every town and they would never reduce in number. Human society was really weird. It always seemed to be full of special characters, both good and bad. I heard Chinese are really timid, Marion said. Trigly's eyes glittered. They were strapped for cash again. To them, as long as they could get money, they would do anything. Go. The same method, Trigly said. Experienced, Marion walked up and collided with Chen Zhao's cart. Ah! Marion screamed. Before Chen Zhao could react, he knocked Marion onto the floor and pushed the cart onto Marion's body. Chen Zhao quickly pulled the cart back. With 20 packs of dog food in it, the cart was quite heavy. It was obvious that the person had deliberately run into his cart. Chen Zhao was not that easy to deceive. As he pulled the cart back, Marion screamed again. What have you done? Trigly charged forward and pushed Chen Zhao. I need a doctor. I need a doctor. Looking at Marion's realistic wailing, Trigly thought that Marion's acting had improved greatly. He had no idea that Marion was really in pain. Marion was not only hit by the cart but also literally run over. Kid, how do you think we should settle this? Trigly seized Chen Zhao's collar. What do you want? Chen Zhao asked back. Compensation. My buddy's injured by you, so you either pay us or we'll sue you till you're bankrupt. Trigly shouted angrily. How much do you want? 100,000. Trigly shouted. Chen Zhao grabbed a pack of dog food and flung it at Trigly's head. He did not dare to use his fist. With his current strength, he was unsure if he would kill Trigly in one punch. How much do you want again? Didn't hear you properly. You dare to hit me? Do you want to be sent back? Trigly roared. If I call the police now and tell them that you tried to extort 100,000 from me, who do you think the police will believe? I think it's enough for you to stay in jail for 3 years. Chen Zhao smiled gently. Trigly and Marion were awake at once and even stopped yelping. The police could not do much to them for small crimes. They would at most be detained for a few days before being freed. As professional gangsters, they knew that there was a line they must not cross. It was also not the first time such a thing had happened. The residents of Mountain Town were quite brave. While there were many onlookers, nobody called the police. To them, it was only a small conflict. They were glad that Chen Zhao had taught the two gangsters a lesson. Whistling, Chen Zhao returned to his truck only to find one wheel missing and the windows were broken. The culprits were obvious. Chen Zhao roared at once, "Don't let me catch you, or I'll break your limbs." Gritting his teeth, Chen Zhao called for his truck to be towed to a repair shop. Towing cost $200, while the repair would also cost $200 or $300. Although it was not a big amount, Chen Zhao was very displeased. Trigly, didn't you say that Chinese are timid? Why did that asshole resist? Marion complained. How would I know? I can't just leave like this. What else do you want? We've already broken his truck, Trigly said. That Chinese has such a nice house. There must be many valuable items inside. Let's go there at night. We might just be lucky. What if he sees us? Bring our knives. If we're really discovered, gloom flashed across Marion's face. We'll stab him. Seriously? If we're found, we'll be doomed, Trigly said reluctantly. But if we find anything valuable, we'll be rich. Marion licked his lips. Are you in or not? Yes. But if we're seen, we should run away if we can. We don't have to kill. Trigly was still hesitant. After all, he had only committed small crimes in the past. He was used to being arrested into a police station. Nonetheless, he really did not want to end up in jail. If he killed someone, his life would be over. Chapter 424 Amazing Adventures of Trigly and Marion. Chapter 424 Amazing Adventures of Trigly and Marion. At night, Trigly and Marion snuck to the other end of Mirror Lake. Marion, When will we go in? What's the hurry? Don't you see the lights are still on? You want to go in now and get killed? Then how long do we have to wait for? Shut up. Just wait until they turn off the lights. It's only 8 p.m., Trigly said a bit unwillingly. I think they'll need at least 2 or 3 hours. I'd rather go to a bar and get girls. I won't stop you if you want to quit, Marion said. But don't think about splitting the profits when I get rich. Fine, I'll listen to you, Trigly acquiesced in the end. Trigly and Marion bore the mosquitoes and bugs until 11 p.m. The lights in the house finally dimmed. We can go now. Trigly and Marion went around Mirror Lake. But before they could get close, a huge bear suddenly appeared before their eyes. Roar! They practically pissed their pants. This bear was too big, too terrifying. They turned to run, but then a black wolf appeared behind them. The black wolf stared at them with green eyes. When it opened its maw, the two saw glistening white fangs. Completely freaked out, Trigly and Marion jumped into the lake. They just hoped that the huge bear and wolf wouldn't get into the water. But before they started swimming, a wave came. There was something in the water. They both realized this problem. In the direction of the ripples, there was a knife-like thing standing up in the water. Using the moonlight, they could vaguely see something over the water. The thing underwater was definitely not small. Escape was what they were both thinking. But they couldn't swim toward the water beast or go on land. They could only swim toward the house. Thankfully, the water beast pursuing them wasn't very fast. The two used all their might. They felt like they could break a world record. Finally, they reached land, but then they saw a fiery red lizard crawl toward the water. The lizard was huge. It was definitely big enough to eat them. Plus, lizards could swim. So the two jumped back into the water as soon as they got on land. Lizards can't go underwater. Let's go to the bottom of the lake. But there's a bigger one underwater. It doesn't look too deep here. That big guy probably can't get close. Are you sure? No. But if we stay here, that lizard will discover us. Marion dove into the water. Trigly followed him in. Underwater, they could vaguely see a huge beast pacing around in the distance. It was nighttime and they were underwater, so they couldn't see clearly at all. Just then, Trigly discovered a man-made entrance. He gestured at Marion. Marion was running out of air, so he ducked into the entrance. Seeing him do that, Trigly also followed suit. The tunnel wasn't very long. It was only around 4 or 5 meters. They soon broke through the water. Hey, this is inside the house. We're in. It should be the basement. So dark. Trigly couldn't see the surroundings, but being on solid ground reassured him. Marion, did you bring a flashlight? Yes. Marion took off the flashlight hanging on his hip. Water got in. He slapped the flashlight. It lit up and then went off again. He tried a few other times and dried out the water. Finally, it lit up again. The two started creeping around carefully. Rich people have such weird interests, Trigly said. He actually has a tunnel connecting the basement to the lake. Isn't he afraid thieves would come in? Clearly, he forgot that he was a thief. Isn't that better? He gave us a chance. Marion laughed. Wait. Marion, your flashlight shone on something, Trigly suddenly cried out. Go back again. Be quiet, Marion reminded. But he still followed Trigly's request and shone the light back. It was an empty wall. Nothing was there. There's nothing here. Thud. A strange noise came out of nowhere. Frightened, Trigly grabbed onto Marion's arm. Don't touch me. Marion shook him off. Did you step on something? No, Trigly said, terrified. That wasn't me. That's weird. Where did the sound come from? Marion suddenly pulled his flashlight back and they saw something flash past the lit-up area. It was only a blur, but the two could see that the thing was huge. There really is something. What is it? Trigly was even more frightened. Hurry, we can't stay here. Marion decided. The two immediately rushed into the water, but they felt something slippery underfoot. Marion shone the light into the water. They saw a snake's head dart out of the water. There were countless snakeheads, all huge and strangely shaped. It looked like many snakes tangled together. Hiss, hiss. The two backed out of the tunnel in fear. By then, many snakeheads had come out of the water. Marion and Trigly also saw the full body. It wasn't a cluster of snakes, it was a creature with many heads. Them. Or it has 9 heads. A 9-headed snake. Marion trembled in fear. Even though this 9-headed snake wasn't as huge as in the myths, it was still frightening. The two were covered in goosebumps. They retreated into a corner in fear. Suddenly, they backed into something. It wasn't a hard wall. It should be an animal's body. Huge. That was the first word that popped into their minds. Shuddering, they fell to the ground, while the light shone on the thing. It looked like a huge dog, but its body was a bit too much. It was bigger than a horse. The moment that the dog turned its head, Marion and Trigly honestly pissed their pants in fright. From the side, they only thought that it was a huge dog. But now, they finally saw the dog's full appearance. Chapter 425, Guinea Pig Volunteers. Chapter 425, Guinea Pig Volunteers. Cerberus. It was actually Cerberus. All 3 heads had red lights in their mouths. It was hellfire. Both Trigly and Marion felt death approaching. It was different from the Hydra. While the Hydra did manage to astonish them, it was only 3 meters long, after all. The Hydra was at most a huge python and not nearly as formidable as the legendary monster which could turn seas upside down. Hellhound was different. It was a giant measuring 3 meters in shoulder height and over 5 meters in length. Marion fled at once, so did Trigly. The two charged to the other side of the room, opened the door, and bolted in. The next instant, they felt a cloud of fog float past them. It was as if they were standing in the clouds. When they cleared the cloud and looked before them, they were bewildered once again. They saw a magnificent castle towering right in front. It was a giant castle that was hard to describe, one more imposing than any architecture they had seen before. Entirely white, the spire of the castle soared into the clouds and merged perfectly with the sky. An animal seemed to be flying and circling around the spire. The animal also discovered the two. Thousands of meters away from them, it suddenly dove toward them. Bang! When the animal landed, the two could feel the ground shake. The animal looked both like a dragon and a bird. It was enormous, about 8 or 9 meters long. It had sharp claws on both its feet and its tail was thin and long. Its wings looked like those of a bat, while its head resembled a dinosaur. The two immediately attempted to escape through the door behind them, but the door was nowhere to be found. The wyvern stuck its head toward the two. Trigly and Marion turned around and ran. With tacit understanding, they ran in different directions. However, the wyvern's tail reached out and caught Trigly at once. Marion was in deeper peril as the wyvern grabbed him with its mouth. Ah! Trigly! Save me! Save me! Marion was still alive and resisting. He drew his gun and fired at the wyvern's mouth. In pain, the wyvern threw Marion onto the ground. However, Marion could no longer stand. His entire body was covered in blood. He could only crawl with his hands. The wyvern smacked Marion with its paw. Ah! Heh! Blackie was alarmed. He felt death. Someone was about to die here. Was it Chen Zhao? Blackie quickly left the castle and floated toward the place of death. It was not Chen Zhao. Blackie was reassured as he confirmed that the intruders were not Chen Zhao. Grim Reaper. Both Marion and Trigly saw Blackie, who looked identical to the Grim Reaper they knew. Blackie ignored the two and left the space crevice directly. Once he entered the villa, he informed Chen Zhao at once. Chen Zhao, stop playing. 2 people just entered my territory from your basement. Chen Zhao trembled. Below him, Farley gave a loud moan as her body shivered. Chen, why are you so quick today? Chen Zhao patted his forehead and said, Hellhound and Little Nine are fighting. I need to check on them. How did you know? I just do. Should we hire a maid? I'll take care of it. Chen Zhao put on his pants and rushed downstairs. Chen Zhao entered the basement and saw many watery footprints on the floor. A key was also inserted in the magic door. I forgot to withdraw the key, Chen Zhao said as he pushed the door open. Then, he saw a wyvern toying with Marion. It was also grabbing a person with its tail, who was Trigly. Chen Zhao knew that the two did not come here with good intentions. Not far away, there was even a gun on the floor. At the moment, Marion was already one step away from dying. Constrained by the wyvern's tail, Trigly was also startled, although he was not injured. "Let them go," Chen Zhao shouted. When the wyvern saw Chen Zhao, it first showed its teeth fiercely, but as it smelled Chen Zhao, it was clearly terrified. Chen Zhao did not care about Marion and Trigly, but wyverns were food, after all. He had no plans to feed them with living humans. The wyvern left Marion and Trigly and fled via the air. The dying Marion stared at Chen Zhao, his eyes filled with a begging look. On the other hand, Trigly's face was filled with horror. Even though Chen Zhao was only wearing a casual pair of pants, he still looked frightening. After all, Chen Zhao had just scared the monster away. The Grim Reaper was following him. Who is he? What does he have in his house? Cerberus, Hydra, and the monster in the lake. Bear, wolf, lizard. Are they all his pets? The huge biped monster just now fled upon seeing him. Clearly, the Chinese before them was even scarier than the biped monster. Who is he? A demon king? How do we handle them? Blackie asked. Leave them here. I just happen to need living humans for experiments, Chen Zhao said. Ask the underlings to bring them in. Soon, Trigly and Marion saw countless small, green monsters surge toward them and carry them into the castle. Chen Zhao performed a simple treatment for Marion just so that he would not die. Nevertheless, Chen Zhao did not plan to let the two have a good life. They had broken into his house with a gun. It was clear what they were planning to do. Moreover, they had already discovered his secrets. There was no way he would release them. It would be a waste to kill them. After all, Chen Zhao and Blackie had many experiments that required living subjects. Of course, Blackie would not perform them himself. He must not kill, after all, or he would be punished. But Chen Zhao did not have such a restriction. Since he killed the first person, he had already overcome the psychological barrier. Chen Zhao had never killed an innocent person before. Sir, let me go. Let me go. I promise I won't say anything. I swear to God. Trigly was sent into a cage. Chen Zhao sneered, then you shouldn't even have entered in the first place. Also, do I look like I believe in God? Trigly shivered. Demon. He's definitely a demon from hell. Or maybe, he's Satan himself. Good, you look scared of me. That's excellent. Lord, I swear allegiance to you, in your name. I don't need you. Why do I need a loyal piece of trash? Chen Zhao really did not know how he could use the two gangsters apart from guinea pigs for his experiments. Ignoring the risk of releasing them, what could they even do for him? Earn money? Or gain territory? Turning his head, Chen Zhao said to the underlings, watch them closely. If they escape, I'll feed all of you to the wyverns. Chapter 426, It's time to build some defenses. Chapter 426, It's time to build some defenses. Blackie, it seems like it's not just my house lacking security. Your house does too. They came into my house from yours, Blackie said, dissatisfied. Plus, couldn't you put away the key when you left? Disregarding outside intruders, what if your woman broke in? Oh yeah, what if Farley came in accidentally and neither of us were here? Chen Zhao immediately realized this was a problem. The inferior demons in the castle might not dare to do anything, but the wyverns had low intelligence. They might not know that this was the female master. Have Samuel make a badge that carries his aura. This can scare the wyverns. Chen Zhao nodded. This was the only solution. Oh, help me train some inferior demons, Chen Zhao said. Choose some smarter ones so I can bring them out. The house was so big, but only Chen Zhao and Farley lived there. They had the AI system for help, but it was tiring to clean such a big house. Even Chen Zhao found it tiring, let alone Farley. Cleaning up after the big and small pets was also annoying. Thus, Chen Zhao felt it necessary to have Farley meet some inferior demons. Farley wanted maids, but there were too many secrets in the house. It wasn't suitable for outsiders to know. This was why inferior demons were the best choice for maids. They were timid and very obedient. They were also more hardworking than humans because they had to show their value. If they realized that they'd lost value, they would lose their reason to exist. Plus, inferior demons wouldn't affect his and Farley's lifestyles. This was the most important. Okay, I'll choose some for you. Blackie nodded, agreeing to this. Right, I heard that there's a stone demon production technique in hell. Next time you go, look and see if you can find it. What are stone demons used for? Stone demons are man-made mixed demons, like the hellhound, but they're usually statues. They can both guard and attack. Isn't necromancy enough? Stone demons are a type of necromancy beings, but they're different. They have two states, living and statue. You don't have to activate them. Their thoughts also have a certain synchronization with the master. They can differentiate between friend and foe by themselves. That's nice. Chen Zhao thought that his house really lacked defenses. Any random person could break in. Strengthening the defenses was necessary, but regular types couldn't be used. They were both expensive and inconvenient. Magic beings were the simplest. Chen Zhao returned to the bedroom and Farley immediately grabbed him. It wasn't the hellhound fighting with Little Nine, right? Farley rubbed against him. Still not sleeping? Chen Zhao kissed her softly. The dogs are so friendly with Little Nine and always follow each other around. How can they fight? Oh, it's no big deal. Chen Zhao rested Farley against his chest. I found some servants for our house. Some? Our house is big, but we don't need more than one, right? Special servants, Chen Zhao said. How special? They're not human. Oh, where are they now? Still in training. I don't want to teach them what to do after they get here. They have to know what to do beforehand and get to work immediately. What are these things you speak of? A special breed. They're a type of supernatural beings. They're really small and timid, and live to please their masters. Like earth elves in books. They're much more obedient. Farley grew even more curious. When can they get here? It depends on their training. How big are they? A bit bigger than Beelzebub, but not more than 1 meter tall. After Farley started dating Chen Zhao, she kept discovering new and unimaginable things. Chen Zhao's mysteriousness deeply attracted her. As they entered March, the days started getting warmer. Of course, LA's weather was always quite stable. It never got very cold or hot. Most of the time, the temperature was below 20 degrees Celsius. Tiger, come over. I'll take you to the trainer today. A while later, Tiger hurried over. He'd been nervous since Chen Zhao told him yesterday that he would recommend him to a trainer who'd beaten Chen Zhao up before. In the car, Tiger kept asking, Mr. Chen, what should I say after I meet the trainer? Don't worry. She's not going to eat you. That's not for sure, Tiger thought. What kind of monster could defeat Chen Zhao? After Chen Zhao and Tiger reached the gym parking lot, he saw a car that looked familiar. Wasn't that his Ford SUV? But it seemed to be repaired. Let's go up. Chen Zhao brought Tiger upstairs. Tiger grew even more nervous. After they got to the fitness center, the older members went to greet Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao pushed open Gaia's office door. Hi, Gaia. Tiger froze when he saw Gaia. How come it was a woman? But seeing Gaia's body, he didn't dare to overlook her anymore. Gaia was probably in the same weight class as him. Who's that? Gaia asked. Someone with potential, Chen Zhao said. I want to invest in him. Boxing? Yes. No way, Gaia said. He looks like he has the same personality as you. All soft, not suitable for boxing. Don't be like that. Chen Zhao looked helpless. Can you not kill my ego in front of my student? It's for his own good, Gaia said. I won't stop him if he has a monster's body like you. I'll take care of his body, Chen Zhao said. Just help me train him in technique. Xanla Douglas broke his arms before and he just got his confidence back. Are you going to destroy a young man's spirit like this? I heard Xanla's manager announce that he's quitting, Gaia said. Does this have anything to do with you? I broke his arms too. Gaia touched her chin. What do I get from this? You'll get what an athlete's coach gets. Trust me. He has more potential than you think. Gaia thought for a long while. You're sure he can perform well in professional boxing? Yes, I promise. Fine, I can train him for free, but if he doesn't get anything within 2 years, you'll have to pay me $500,000. How about that? Okay, Chen Zhao answered easily. I haven't fought in a long time. How about we do a round? Chapter 427, Rapid Aging. Chapter 427, Rapid Aging. Nope, Chen Zhao rejected. To be honest, Gaia was definitely no match for Chen Zhao at the moment. Skill was indeed important, but when the difference between their strengths was so big, all skills were useless. Now, Chen Zhao was truly a monster that no ordinary humans could fight. Really? Gaia asked. Apart from bringing Tiger here, I also need your help. What? I need some special fitness equipment for myself. How special? Chen Zhao muttered something into Gaia's ear. Gaia was clearly somewhat hesitant. You need them for yourself? Yep. You sure you didn't accidentally add a 0 behind each number? I know what I'm saying, and also what I need. Tiger, familiarize yourself with the place first. Chen and I need to discuss something. Gaia brought Chen Zhao into an isolated gym. Lift that barbell. Chen Zhao shrugged. With just one hand, he lifted the barbell which had 7 or 8 weights on it. Gaia frowned. Chen Zhao's strength was becoming absolutely alarming. He was carrying a 200-kilogram barbell, but he was holding it like a normal dumbbell. You're a beast. Gaia shook her head. It was no wonder Chen Zhao had rejected her request for a fight. If they really entered the ring, she would lose for sure. Chen Zhao was way stronger than her, so much so that no skills could make up for the difference. How's Marjorie? Gaia suddenly asked. You killed him. Chen Zhao was unsure about Gaia's position, so he denied it as his first reaction. After leaving the fitness center, Chen Zhao went to Ethan's motel to visit Li Qing. Li Qing was recovering well, especially her mental state. Mr. Chen, have you read Qingyi sect's books I gave you? I was too busy. I'll read them once I get back. Chen Zhao felt as if Li Qing was forcing him to read the books. Remember to read them. Qingyi sect has many techniques that can cure various diseases. They're really useful. Li Qing was blowing her own trumpet. Chen Zhao could only nod. When Chen Zhao left the motel, he received a call from Sienna. Chen, something happened again. Today, a witch was killed and another was severely injured. It's Evangeline again? Yes, Sienna answered. Chen, I think you should reconsider. Evangeline is too strong. We don't have to find her actively. Chen Zhao, however, had already made up his mind. He had caused all this, so he had no reason to hide. In any case, he had to take care of the situation. The longer Evangeline roamed outside, the more victims there would be. Are the witches in LA defenseless? What do you expect us to do? We could at most build a few defensive wards at our house, but such wards cannot stop Evangeline at all. Is there really nothing we can do? Chen Zhao was worried about Sienna, Chris, and Cheryl's safety. No, unless witches stay in groups, but that's almost impossible. How about you come to my house and wait till I settle all this? Chen Zhao asked. No, it's good here. Is there any news from your teacher? Not yet. I'll inform you if I receive anything. Mr. Stephen, you look very tired the past 2 days. Do you really not need some rest? James stood before Stephen. I don't feel anything different. How's the construction of the filming location? Stephen asked. 80% complete. It's estimated we can start filming in the next 2 days. Also, I need a new assistant. Release the news for me, Stephen added. Now, follow me to check out the location together. Stephen rubbed his forehead. Indeed, he had been feeling weak recently. However, in both visits to the hospital, he was told that his body was entirely normal. After walking for a while, Stephen was already feeling tired. His strength had significantly decreased. Just a few weeks ago, he could play with 2 women all night without feeling this tired. But now, walking a few steps would exhaust him. It felt very uncomfortable. Stephen slowed down with cold sweat running down his forehead. Realizing Stephen's status, James quickly walked up and supported him. "Right, go away. I'm not so old that I need someone to carry me." Stephen tried his best to focus and check the location, after which he rushed home to rest. However, he was soon awakened by a call. "Hey, James, what is it?" Nobody would enjoy being disturbed from sleep. "Mr. Stephen, I've already sent out the announcement. When will you be free to interview the applicants?" Stephen's name was really useless. With just once announcement, there were already hundreds of applicants. After James did some preliminary selection, there were about 10 people left. "Tomorrow morning. I'm hanging up." "Yes. I'm sorry to disturb your rest." After Stephen hung up, he wanted to sleep again, but he just could not fall asleep. As he got up, he felt weakness running through his body. He had a hard time getting himself up the bed. However, when he saw himself in the mirror, his expression changed. His hair, which had been half brown, was all white now. At the same time, there were countless wrinkles on his face. Stephen felt as if he had aged for 10 years all of a sudden. He kept rubbing his eyes, unable to believe in the reality. Ignoring his aching body, he rushed to the hospital for an examination. Waiting for the report was a very painful process. Stephen waited for 3 hours and his state deteriorated. "Mr. Stephen, we detected your cells splitting rapidly. This is a very bad sign." A doctor gave the medical report to Stephen. "What do you mean?" Stephen asked, confused. "You might have one of the progeroid syndromes. Can you be more direct?" "You're aging at a rate which is dozens of times quicker than normal," the doctor said. Boom. Stephen could feel his head go blank. Aging dozens of times quicker? Is there a treatment? No. Currently, there is no cure. It cannot even be slowed. What should I do then? Stephen asked. I'm really sorry, but there is not much I can tell you. Please keep optimistic. Chapter 428, This Man is from a Gang. Chapter 428, This Man is from a Gang. Stephen didn't know how he walked out of the hospital. His mind was blank. The doctor had just given him the death sentence. He was aging 100 times faster than normal. His bone density was decreasing, his fitness was decreasing, and his bodily functions were all dying. This made everything turn dry and dull. According to the doctor, he had around 1 more month to live. Of course, this wasn't definite. It could be faster or slower. What could he do in 1 month? Perhaps he could shoot one last movie. Stephen took a deep sigh and suddenly gathered his spirits. Yes, even if he was dying, he had to finish this movie. At least, he couldn't ruin things for Rasfa. He was the one who was managing the movie. PLM was the main investor. Next day, James was surprised to see Stephen become spirited. Stephen, how are you feeling? Not bad. Are the applicants for the assistant position here? Yes, they're outside the site. Should I call them in? First, get rid of the men. What? I want a female assistant, not a male assistant, understand? All right. James felt helpless. Stephen was still so authoritative. A while later, James led a handful of women to the door. Go in one by one. You first, James said to an Asian girl. Knock, knock. Come in, Stephen called. When he saw that the first girl was Asian, he was shocked. Wenhui was used to Stephen's reaction. After all, this was a white society. People of color were always overlooked or even discriminated against. Asians especially were discriminated against in all aspects. She just came to try her luck. She didn't think she could actually become a famous director's assistant. Introduce yourself, Stephen said. My name is Wenhui Yu. I'm a senior in financial management at UCLA, 22 years old. Half a year ago, I worked in a top 500 company. My resume includes recommendations from that company. Stephen flipped through her materials. You're Chinese, right? Yes. Your name should actually be Wenhui, right? Yes. She didn't expect that Stephen would care about how her name was pronounced. Is there anywhere fun in China? There are many fun places. If you have the chance to go to China, I can take you around, regardless if I get the job. Regardless if I have the chance to go to China, you got the job, Stephen said, smiling. Huh. Wenhui froze, gaping at Stephen. She was Chinese. Regardless of how her resume and material were, there were still many other candidates. Why did Stephen decide without looking at the other choices? Wenhui knew that she was pretty, but she probably only suited Eastern beauty standards. Westerners probably didn't like her looks. After all, she'd studied abroad here for 3 years. She was quite familiar with Western beauty standards. Sometimes, one of her dorm mates would even say that she definitely didn't have a boyfriend because she was so ugly. And what could Wenhui do other than roll her eyes? But Stephen actually liked an ugly girl like her. She couldn't understand what this famous director was thinking. Of course, she was very excited to get this job. I hope you can come to work tomorrow. I also hope you won't make any excuses for being late. The last assistant I fired was because she was late. Yes, I understand, Mr. Stephen. Okay. Stephen waved his hand. Go call James in. It's that asshole that brought you here. A moment later, James came in and Stephen said, James, go prepare a contract for that lady. Don't tell me it's not part of your responsibilities. I don't want to hear it. What could James say? He could only bow his head and act as Stephen's temporary assistant. When Wenhui returned to school, she suddenly heard a whistle. She turned around in shock and discovered it was the football team. They seemed to have just ended practice. The big guy who just catcalled her was captain of the football team, McAllen. Hey, Chinese girl, have time to eat together. Sorry, I'm busy. Wenhui frowned. She didn't like McAllen. Plus, she remembered that he seemed to have a relationship with another dorm mate of hers. She didn't want to ruin her friendship like this, so she turned to leave. But McAllen put his hand on the wall. He was muscular and around 9 meters tall. Standing before him, Wenhui was too tiny. Chinese girl, don't reject me so quickly. I promise you'll fall for me. Sorry, I'm not interested. Please move. How about I'll move if you kiss me? Move. Wenhui glared at him. You're pretty when you're angry. Haha. Chinese girl, McAllen likes you. You're so lucky. The other football players watched the drama from the side. Let's go. Don't be so shy. McAllen grabbed Wenhui's arm shamelessly. McAllen, do you want to get expelled for harassing girls? Wenhui shook his hand away. McAllen's expression froze. He didn't keep moving. He really didn't have the courage. I was just joking, he explained. With that, he took 2 steps back, but he didn't look behind. He backed into something and immediately yelled out, Are you blind? But he was met with a pair of cold eyes. McAllen shuddered. He ran into none other than Chen Zhao. OOF. McAllen was punched in the stomach. He fell to his knees. Chen Zhao grabbed McAllen's collar and looked around. What you looking at? Wanna die? Get the fuck away. All the other football players lowered their heads and fled. Wenhui turned to leave too. Who was that Asian? Was he from a gang? How come he dared to beat up a student at UCLA? Chapter 429, Wenhui's Imagination. Chapter 429, Wenhui's Imagination. Wenhui could hear McAllen's screams and cries from the path. She had not walked far. When the voices stopped, she peeked at the path. She saw McAllen lying on the ground, while the Asian was already gone. The members of the rugby team quickly pulled McAllen away. Wenhui was more certain that the Asian must be from an illegal gang. But was UCLA not known for its safety? Why would a gang member dare to beat someone up in the college? Chen, I could hear McAllen's screams from one building away. Don't tell me you weren't involved. Right widened her eyes at Chen Zhao, but she was making coffee for him. Right, I was protecting the college's reputation. I saw that asshole harassing a girl, Chen Zhao said. If this happens again, I'll do the same. What an asshole. I'll forgive you this time. Right placed the cup of coffee before Chen Zhao. Anyhow, you're a lecturer here. You should come here more often, even if you're just here to teach those bastard students a lesson. Why not I become a security guard instead? No, that will be a waste of your knowledge. Right threw a document before Chen Zhao, who picked it up. What's this? University Medical Symposium. To put it simply, a paid tour. Where is it? New York. Chen Zhao whistled. When is it? 20th. That's more than 2 weeks away. Chen Zhao thought about it. Can I bring someone with me? The college will only pay for your tickets, accommodation, and food, Right answered. If you're bringing someone else, you need to pay yourself. Fine. I thought you'll give me a discount. If you can show the rest how professional Ukla is, I don't mind paying for you. I would rather keep a low profile. Chen Zhao smiled. He was only interested in the paid tour. As for the rest, he was completely unenthusiastic. By the way, Mr. Hernandez will go with you. Bang. Chen Zhao shrugged. What's happening next door? It's so noisy. Decoration. I plan to expand my office by combining the adjacent room, Wright said. Isn't your office big enough? Not enough to display my authority as the principal. Good. Chen Zhao nodded. He really liked how Wright would ignore others' opinions and do what she wanted. Well, I gotta go. When Chen Zhao left the office, someone ran into him from the back. Then, he felt some liquid being poured onto him. Oh, I'm sorry. A worker was carrying a bucket of red liquid. Chen Zhao did not know what it was, except that it was probably used in the decoration. Chen Zhao looked at himself and sniffed his arms. It did not smell bad. What's this? Can I wash it away? It's a resin synthetic dye. It's harmless, but it's probably difficult to wash away. If it's on your skin, you'll need to wash with alcohol. The worker looked at Chen Zhao awkwardly. Sir, maybe I'll pay you for your shirt. Nah, forget it. Chen Zhao's shirt cost at least a few $100s. While it was not that expensive, it should be a lot for a worker. Sir, I'm really sorry. Chen Zhao left in discontent, while the worker kept apologizing to him. Just then, Wenhui and her friends walked out of a building. From afar, they could see a person covered in blood walking toward them with a gloomy look. They immediately froze and watched the person walk past them. Wenhui's face paled. Who is he? What happened to him? No, what did he do? He looks uninjured. The blood must be someone else's. Did he kill someone? Just then, a few burly, unkind-looking men appeared, and the man covered in blood left with them. He's definitely a gangster. Those burly guys should be his men. Chen Zhao was displeased. Usually, no matter where he was, he would be dressed up properly and decorously. After all, he had to meet many special clients. Dressing up too casually might offend them or imbue a sense of distrust. He could not believe what had just happened in the college. Fortunately, he met some people from the boxing club. He planned to borrow a shirt from them. Moreover, they also found some alcohol and removed the red paint from Chen Zhao's skin. With a new shirt and the red paint gone, Chen Zhao was much delighted. When he left the college, he suddenly saw a policewoman sticking a ticket on his car. And the policeman was none other than Sharon. Hey, Sharon, how are you doing? Chen Zhao glanced at the window with the corner of his eyes. There was no vacant parking space in college, so he could only park it at the space by the roadside. Sharon looked at Chen Zhao. What? Are we very close? Why do you sound so unhappy? Chen Zhao smiled and looked at Sharon. Why should I be happy? Sharon had a cold attitude. You just found another chance to give me a ticket. Shouldn't you be happy? Is this car yours? I remember you had a Ford SUV. It was broken, so I bought a new one. Chen Zhao removed the ticket. Keep the ticket, and I'll ask David to switch you to his team. How about that? I was just switched from his team to traffic department, Sharon said, her face darkening. Why? I don't want to talk about it. Did you confess to David and was rejected? Ha ha ha, Chen Zhao laughed. Sharon immediately drew her pistol and pointed it at Chen Zhao's head. Now I suspect you have contraband items in your car. Lift your hands and lie against the window. What? Do what I said, or I'll shoot. Fine, I'll cooperate. Chen Zhao regretted provoking the madwoman. Wenhui walked out of the college and saw Chen Zhao again. She did not know how many times she had seen Chen Zhao already, but her impression of him kept worsening. As she watched a policewoman point her pistol at Chen Zhao's head, she thought, finally he's arrested. He's definitely going to jail. Chen Zhao looked around him and noticed the strange atmosphere. Chapter 430, Before Death. Chapter 430, Before Death. Rasfa, it's me. Stephen called Rasfa. Stephen, you should be at the film site now, right? Usually when I call you at this time, you always bark my head off, Rasfa teased. How come you're calling me today? If you want me to invest more money, don't even think about it. No, I just suddenly wanted to call you. Stephen, what's going on? Rasfa felt that Stephen's tone was a bit strange. Nothing. Do you feel all right? I'm fine, Stephen said offhandedly. I'm saying if something happens to me and the movie isn't finished, then that bastard James will take over. Sometimes, he seems unreliable and likes to play games, but he's been with me for so many years. He's pretty skilled. Stephen, is something wrong? I'm fine. I'm just saying whatever I thought of. Don't overthink. I'm honestly fine. Okay, I'm hanging up. With that, Stephen hung up. Rasfa was unsettled. Stephen's tone was obviously off today. It felt like he was giving his last words. Worried, Rasfa dialed back, but Stephen's line was busy. The call couldn't go through. Thinking a bit more, Rasfa called Chen Zhao. Chen, I just got Stephen's call. His tone sounded weird. Did he get some incurable disease? Incurable disease? I gave him a checkup a few days ago. Other than being a bit weak because he played with too many girls, everything else was normal. Then, what if he accidentally contracted AIDS while messing around? Chen Zhao inhaled sharply. Are you sure that old asshole isn't joking with you? I just called him, but I couldn't get through. Do you know where he is now? Usually, he should be at the film site. A light bulb went off in Rasfa's brain. Oh, I'll call James and ask. Okay, let me know if you find out anything. Got it. After hanging up, Rasfa immediately dialed James' number. James, it's Rasfa. Is Stephen at the film site? No, he hasn't come yet today. Hasn't come? Do you know where he is? No. Has Stephen seemed weird these days? Weird? He seems to be a bit dispirited and got a new assistant, James said. If you find him, have him call me immediately. Okay, got it, Mr. Rasfa. Halifa Oliver was eating breakfast in the garden of a mansion. The maid beside her asked, Mistress, would you like more coffee? No, Halifa said. Give me the LA Daily and California Times. Just then, a black suit bodyguard walked over. Boss, there's a car outside. It's been there the entire morning. Oh, is it paparazzi or someone else? No. It seems to be Stephen. What does that old thing want? Halifa muttered to herself, frowning. She and Stephen had divorced more than 30 years ago. They stayed clear out of each other's lives now. They might not even see each other once per year. Every time they met, they were never able to talk peacefully. They completely viewed each other as each other's arch-nemeses. Why did Stephen come to her house today? Didn't he know how he would be humiliated after running to Halifa's territory? Stephen had a talent for making every woman fall in love with him and then hate his guts. Bring him in, Halifa said. A short while later, Stephen was brought in. When Halifa saw him, she realized that Stephen looked especially frail today. It felt like he had one foot in the coffin already. He didn't have the confidence and spirit from when Halifa saw him in media. He didn't look like the all-powerful king that he was at film sites. Right now, he just looked like an old man. How come you look like this? Halifa frowned and looked at Stephen in disgust. This old thing was annoying, but he always took care of his appearance. Halifa had never seen such a miserable Stephen. She didn't think Stephen would ever be miserable either. He had a bad temper, but his talent went without saying. Back then, it was also his talent that made Halifa fall head over heels for him. As long as this guy was still alive, he would never be in a miserable state. Stephen sat down beside Halifa. Nothing. I just suddenly wanted to see you. Halifa's frown deepened. She almost suspected that this guy was knock-off. Stephen never knew how to compromise or back down. If he did, they wouldn't have had a falling out more than 20 years ago. What was wrong today? Did the sun rise in the west? Did this guy suddenly change his religion to Satanism? Okay, you saw me. You can leave now. Yeah, bye. Stephen nodded. He stood up and turned to leave. Wait, Halifa finally realized that this guy was acting abnormally. Usually, he would make a scene if he was kicked out. But today, he was actually leaving so peacefully. Are you sick? Halifa's heart clenched. There was an indescribably uncomfortable feeling. She obviously hated Stephen, but she didn't want him to die. She cursed him to death countless times before, but she still wanted to see Stephen live nicely. I'm fine. I'm great. Bryant, bring Stephen onto my car and go to the hospital. Don't touch me. Motherfucker, you want to die? I'm gonna have someone stuff your head into a toilet. As soon as Bryant touched Stephen, the man freaked out. He went back to that annoying and hateful bastard. Ignore his threats, Halifa said. Take him into the car. I want to know what's wrong with him. Actually, Halifa was just as stubborn and insistent as Stephen. This was why they'd broken up in the end. Neither of them knew to take a step back. Chapter 431, A Gift of Jade. Chapter 431, A Gift of Jade. When Halifa Oliver received the medical report, her mind also went blank. She finally understood why Stephen would visit her. He was here to say farewell. The man who had disturbed her for her entire life was about to leave. On their way back, Halifa Oliver and Stephen kept silent. The two sat quietly in the car, just like when they first knew each other. Just then, Stephen's phone rang. Stephen glanced at the caller. It was Rasfa. He hung up immediately, but the phone rang again. It was Rasfa again. Frowning, Stephen hung up once again. However, the phone rang for the third time. Stephen finally put the call on loudspeaker. Asshole, stop calling me. Stephen, you bastard idiot fool. Have you forgotten that I'm your private doctor? Quickly come here and let me check you. Even if you really have AIDS, I won't let you die. Quickly, come. Halifa Oliver turned to look at Stephen, stunned. Are your private doctors all like that? Stephen took his phone and turned the loudspeaker off. Chen, why is it you? I don't have AIDS. No matter what disease you have, you better come here right now, or we're done. Chen, what I have is incurable. To me, no disease is incurable. Don't compare me with those quacks outside. You really won't be able to save me this time. Nobody can, Stephen said. Only I can decide the life or death of my patients. Nobody else can, nobody. Chen, do you believe that I'll actually go to your house and beat you up? I'm not at home now. I don't care. Gimme an address or come to my place. I'm busy right now. Fuck, you're about to die. What are you busy about? I'm not dead yet. I don't care what you're doing. Anyhow, come here immediately. If you die, the world will think that my incapability as a private doctor has killed an important client. Am I just your client? If you think we're friends, you should have visited me first. Fine. I'll find you in the afternoon. Afternoon it is. I'll only wait for you for a day. Stephen hung up and Halifa glanced at him. Stephen felt rather embarrassed. He's my friend, a very good doctor. I should introduce him to you. I promise that he can cure most of your illnesses. I don't want a private doctor who calls me an idiot. If my doctor dares to do so, I'll throw him into the sea and feed the sharks. You better think of a new way. I can promise that you won't be able to kill him with that method. I'll try. Please don't. You'll never kill him on the sea, Stephen said. Stephen, move to my place. I'll find the best doctor for you. I don't need pity. Also, I know the best doctor in the world. You mean that rude young man who can't even speak English properly? Halifa said. Apart from his arrogant tone, I don't see why he would be outstanding. Stephen gave a bitter smile. Indeed, he was too confident this time. After being diagnosed with progeria syndrome, Stephen had done some investigation. To his despair, the disease had no cure. In fact, it could not even be suppressed. Doctors did not even know the cause of the disease. Progeria syndromes were very random, occurring in both young people and old people. Of course, Stephen was somewhat lucky. He had at least lived for enough years already. It was hard to imagine how painful it would be for a young person to be diagnosed with the syndrome. Nevertheless, the older one gets, the more one would be afraid of death. Older people generally would not possess the fighting spirit of younger ones. Stephen sighed. Halifa, send me home. This was probably their most peaceful encounter in many, many years. Stephen, I'll help you to find a doctor, the best doctor. Stephen shook his head. No need. When a person still has hope, he would use all he has to survive. Even if it is just a straw, he would grab it with all his might. However, when the person is totally desperate, he would begin to calm down instead. Rationality would return. Stephen was precisely in such a state. With his constantly aging body, he had no more strength to struggle and resist. His fate had been sealed. Apart from facing reality quietly, there was nothing he could do. As for Chen Zhao's request, he was really grateful. But Chen Zhao could not help him. Apart from God, nobody could save him. Thinking about his life, Stephen knew that God would not save him. It seemed likely that he would end up in hell. Nonetheless, he had to visit his old friends, including Chen Zhao and Rasfa. Where are you now? I'm in college, Mr. Stephen. What do Chinese people normally give each other as gifts? What? I'm visiting a Chinese friend. I would like to give him a gift, but I don't know what I should give. Mr. Stephen, may I ask how old your friend is? Less than 30 years old. Wenhui was surprised that Stephen actually had such a young Chinese friend. Maybe Jade, Wenhui replied after thinking. Jade is a very good present in China. Come here now and we'll go and buy a piece of jade. Okay. Wenhui quickly rushed to Stephen's place. She realized that Stephen was dressed very formally, as if he was going to visit an important person. In LA, there were many large jewelry shops that would sell jades. Their main customers were Chinese tourists, and jade was a popular choice. With Wenhui's help, Stephen bought an exquisitely crafted dragon-shaped jade. Drive the car. Call me when we reach. I need to take a nap. Stephen looked very tired. Mr. Stephen, where are we going? Mountain Town, Mirror Lake, number 21. Turn left below the pet hospital billboard on Highway 21. Wenhui nodded. When they arrived at Mountain Town, she asked around and finally found the road that led to Mirror Lake. Chapter 432, Horror Mansion. Chapter 432, Horror Mansion. Such a pretty house. They were still a few hundred meters away, but Wenhui could already see the pretty house on the riverbank. Whoever can live here must be really rich, she thought. Whoosh. Suddenly, a huge black bear charged out of the forest on the side of the road. Wenhui slammed on the brakes. She'd almost hit the bear. But the bear was so big and terrifying. How come you stopped? Stephen asked, opening his eyes. Mr. Stephen, look. Oh, we're already here. Seeing Princess, Stephen opened the car door with a smile. Mr. Stephen, don't you see that bear? Yeah, I know her. Stephen got out of the car. Hi, Princess. Princess ignored Stephen. She turned and ducked into the forest on the other side. Immediately after, Black Ma and White Ma ran out too. They brushed past Stephen and chased after Princess. Mr. Stephen, don't do these dangerous things anymore. Don't you know that that bear can rip your head off? She won't. They're all good friends. Okay, drive over there. When they reached the house, Wenhui suddenly saw a slightly familiar figure standing there. Wasn't it that gangster? Was Stephen here to see him? Go park in the garage. Stephen got off and opened his arms. Hi, Chen. Don't act like we're close. We've already ended our friendship. Don't be like this. Look what I brought for you. I chose it just for you. Chen Zhao accepted Stephen's gift. His expression finally improved after he opened it. Right then, the cursed eye on Chen Zhao's right hand opened again. Thankfully, Chen Zhao's palm was facing up. Stephen didn't see the open eye on the back of his hand. Otherwise, Stephen would definitely be scared to death. Chen Zhao looked at Stephen and furrowed his brows. Let's go in to talk. Mr. Stephen. Wenhui had finished parking. She fearfully put some distance between her and Chen Zhao. Who's that? Chen Zhao asked, confused. It's all because of you that I fired Agatha. Then I got a new assistant. She's from China like you. Oh, take a seat anywhere outside. Stephen, let's go in. Wenhui was barred from entering. After Chen Zhao and Stephen entered, the glass door locked automatically. Wenhui could only find somewhere to sit. However, before she could settle in, she felt something soft under her. Touching it, she found that it was a snake and she almost got a heart attack. The snake slithered slowly and moved somewhere else. It curled up and continued to sunbathe. Wenhui didn't dare to stay beside Raymond. She found another empty spot, but there was an even more terrifying guy. Obito's was sunbathing there. Chen, this is my report. Take a look. Chen Zhao accepted the report. He took a glance and tossed it to the side. The report stated that Stephen had the Hutchinson-Gilford syndrome, but it wasn't true. Someone had actually cursed him with age. Seeing Chen Zhao's actions, Stephen's heart fell. There's no hope, right? Answer my questions. Answer correctly and there'll be hope. Answer incorrectly and you'll die. You have a solution. When did this start? A few days ago. When specifically? Let me think. I think it's the day after your visit. Who did you interact with between me leaving and you starting to feel sick? Or did anything special happen? Let me think. Stephen thought back and suddenly thought of Agatha. Oh, Agatha poured water on me. I thought it was acid or something poisonous, but I got tested and it was just normal water. Give me your hand and close your eyes. Stephen obediently reached his hand over to Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao opened the mouth of gluttony and sucked in deeply before Stephen. The man instantly felt something leave his body and he felt much more relaxed. Chen, are you done? You can open your eyes now. Chen Zhao glanced at Stephen. The curse was gone, but the aging caused by the curse couldn't be reversed. The age curse had already gone into effect. This meant that Stephen had aged decades in these past few days. Just like a disease, the curse would intensify as it went. He would age faster and faster. If Stephen had come to find Chen Zhao the first day that he started feeling sick, it wouldn't be such a big problem. But so many days had passed and Stephen's rate of aging had sped up more and more. The only solution now was the Spring of Youth. Wait. Chen Zhao got up and mixed a bottle of the Spring of Youth. 10 minutes later, he returned to Stephen. Drink this. Huh? You want to get me drunk? Shut up. You really want me to drink it all? Stop wasting time. If you want to live, then drink it. Drink as much as you can. Give me a glass. There's no one here. Why do you want a glass? I'll have to wash it later too. Just drink from the bottle. You're so uncivilized. Stephen picked up the wine and poured it in his mouth. After the first gulp, he realized that it tasted better than he'd expected. Tastes great. Which winery is it from? How come you rich people always ask about the winery whenever you drink red wine? After drinking half a bottle, Stephen fell asleep. Chen Zhao picked up the remaining wine and put it away. He tossed a blanket onto Stephen and stopped caring about him. Chen Zhao went into the yard and saw Yu Wenhui standing there. How come you're not sitting? There's nowhere to sit. There's a snake. Yu Wenhui was terrified of the entire house. Of course, she was the most scared of Chen Zhao. It doesn't bite, Chen Zhao said. But who would believe him? That was a snake, not a cat or dog. Where's Stephen? He's sleeping. You can go back first. No, I must see Stephen, Yu Wenhui said, gathering her courage even though she feared Chen Zhao. She didn't believe that Stephen would sleep in someone else's house. He's in the living room. Chen Zhao found a chair and sat down. When Yu Wenhui went to the living room, she indeed found Stephen asleep on the sofa. He smelled of alcohol too. Was he drunk? Yu Wenhui didn't know what to do. She wasn't strong enough to pull Stephen, but she didn't think it was safe to leave him here alone. Chapter 433, The Madam Here. Chapter 433, The Madam Here. You've seen him. Can you leave in peace now? No, mister. Stephen told me to not leave him. Whatever. Ignoring Yu Wenhui, Chen Zhao removed his jacket. What are you doing? Yu Wenhui backed away anxiously. It's my house. I can do whatever I want. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes and walked to the courtyard, after which he jumped into the lake. Yu Wenhui just realized that it was a false alarm. Mr. Stephen. Mr. Stephen, wake up. Unfortunately, Stephen was really in deep sleep. Yu Wenhui could only wait nervously. Luckily, Chen Zhao had no intention to do anything to her, for which she heaved a sigh of relief. Screech. Suddenly, Yu Wenhui heard a loud noise from outside. Turning her head, she saw a sports car enter the villa and then the garage. When Farley came up through the elevator, she had already noticed the car in the garage. She knew that there should be a guest in the house, but she was still stunned when she saw Yu Wenhui. Yu Wenhui panicked slightly. Hi. Hello, you are? I'm Mr. Stephen's assistant. I think Mr. Stephen's drunk. I'm waiting for him, Yu Wenhui answered. Yu Wenhui observed the lady before her. Her skin was wheat-colored, and she was tall and sexy. Even from a woman's perspective, Yu Wenhui had to admit that the lady before her had the qualities of a female lead. Oh, where's Chen? Farley asked. I saw him jump into the lake just now. He's probably been there since then, Yu Wenhui said. Farley walked to the forecourt and saw Chen Zhao in the distance. Chen, you should come back now. Yu Wenhui stared at Farley. Just then, she saw the big bear earlier enter the house. Yu Wenhui's body tightened, but Farley did not seem disturbed at all. She took a pack of dog food and placed it before Princess. Eat this first. Your master is swimming. I'll ask him to prepare dinner for you later. Yu Wenhui watched as Farley bustled about. Soon, several other pets came into the house. Whether they were huge, tiny, fierce, cute or frightening, Farley could handle them with ease. Just then, Yu Wenhui noticed Chen Zhao climb up from the lake. Farley walked out with a towel and dried Chen Zhao's body. Ms. Yu, are you staying for dinner? Yu Wenhui was indeed hungry, but she felt rather embarrassed. You can stay for dinner, Farley invited. By the way, when will Mr. Stephen wake up? Maybe tomorrow early morning. Huh? Is he going to sleep for that long? So would you like to stay here overnight? Chen Zhao asked. You can also come here again tomorrow. Stephen and I are friends. I'm not going to eat him alive. Yu Wenhui was not reassured. After all, in her opinion, Chen Zhao was an atrocious gangster. In addition, Stephen was a billionaire. She did not know if Chen Zhao would do anything bad to Stephen. Therefore, even during dinner, Yu Wenhui seemed to be extremely careful. After the meal, Chen Zhao and Farley played in the swimming pool. Annoyed, Yu Wenhui sat down on the sofa opposite Stephen and played her phone alone. When Chen Zhao and Farley were ready to sleep, Yu Wenhui was still watching Stephen. In the end, Chen Zhao had no choice but to hypnotize Wenhui and carry her to one of the guest rooms. Where am I? Stephen opened his eyes and realized that he was in an unfamiliar place. Just then, the lights at the corners of the room switched on and Stephen heard an electronic voice. Hello, Mr. Stephen, you've been sleeping for 12 hours. Would you like to have some beverage? Stephen rubbed his forehead and remembered being in Chen Zhao's house. I need to take a shower. Then, the guide lights also lit up. Stephen followed the lights to the bathroom. After the shower, Stephen felt very much refreshed. There had somehow been too much dirt on his body. Puff. Stephen stood before the mirror and his expression froze. The person in the mirror. Who is this? It's you. Ah. Stephen was astonished. He realized that Chen Zhao was standing at the door. Why are you here? You didn't close the door. You know, if Farley came down instead and saw something, I would kill you. Okay. I'll be more careful next time, Stephen said, feeling awkward. There won't be a next time. I won't let you stay here overnight again. Chen, what happened to me? Why is my face younger? You've become younger for about 30 years, which means you're about 60 years old now, Chen Zhao said. What? I don't understand. To put it simply, your disease has been cured, but because of it, you've become older for about 10 years, which means you were about 90 years old. Although you wouldn't die immediately, you would, soon. So I used a special method and made you younger by 30 years. You sure? You're not kidding with me? Let's not make this long-winded. I need to go back to sleep. Also, you'll be sleeping on the sofa for tonight. Wait, you have an empty room, right? It's a punishment for you. Why didn't you inform me immediately when you felt sick? You didn't trust me. I'm very angry. Stephen really regretted his decision. If he had visited Chen Zhao earlier, he would not have gone through all this. Now, he was very grateful toward Chen Zhao, but he was not going to ask what exactly Chen Zhao had done. Stephen felt rather guilty. After all, he did not believe Chen Zhao until this very moment. Chen, I'm sorry. Fine, apology accepted. Then can I sleep in a guest room tonight? Nope. The punishment is inevitable. Then drink with me. If I can't sleep, you ain't going to sleep either. No way. Oh, where's the Chinese girl that came here with me? She waited for you for the whole night. Now she's in the guest room. Why can she sleep in the guest room but not me? She doesn't need a punishment. By the way, remember to put some makeup before going out tomorrow, in case someone notices the difference. Got it. Had I come to you earlier, would I have become even younger? Yap. When Stephen heard this, he could feel his heart shatter. An old person's biggest wish was probably to regain youth. Stephen realized that he had missed the opportunity. Chen, can you do it again? I'll pay any price for it. There's only one chance for everyone. I can't change that. You should be happy, since Rasfa only gained 20 years. What? You've already done it for Rasfa? If I didn't, he would die this year. That old asshole. He didn't even tell me about it. Chapter 434, Qingyi. Chapter 434, Qingyi. The next day, Wenhui was shocked when she saw that she was lying in the guest room. The first thing she did was check her body. Thankfully, nothing had happened. Then she discovered the waterfall across from the guest room. The view outside the window was indescribable. She must admit that the environment here was amazing. As expected, rich people's enjoyment was something a regular girl like her couldn't understand. As people said nowadays, poverty had restricted her imagination. After washing up, Wenhui went downstairs. She found Chen Zhao and Stephen eating breakfast. Bastard, you really made me sleep in the living room for the entire night. Farley, don't you think Chen is just too much? Stephen, I understand why he did it. You ruined our perfect two-person world, so you had to be punished. You don't stand on the side of justice at all. I should be treated fairly. Eat your breakfast. There's all this food and it can't shut you up. Chen Zhao glared at Stephen. But your AI system is really nice. I want to get one too. In your old house. Are you sure you want to install it there? The entire system is probably more expensive than your sad house. I want to build a new house somewhere. This place is nice. How about I build a house on the other side of Mirror Lake? No, definitely no. This is private property. I won't let anyone build houses on my territory, not even you. Selfish. So selfish. Stephen raged. I don't care what you say. I won't allow it. You think I care? Stephen was throwing a tantrum too. Anyway, don't even think about building a house here. Fine, I won't build it. Let's go. Stephen left in a huff. Wenhui listened to Stephen yell and swear the entire way back. But she could tell that Stephen and that man were true friends, because Stephen kept saying that when he finished his house, he would have Chen Zhao get a taste of sleeping in the living room. If Stephen was truly mad, he probably wouldn't even invite Chen Zhao to his new home. Rasfa, you old asshole. Chen told me everything. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't try to fool me. Chen had you drink some wine before, right? Oh, you drank it too? How was it? Felt good, right? No wonder. I've been wondering why you seem so energetic these days. I plan on throwing a party for you tonight. Will you come? Call Chen over. You try and see if he'll come. You don't know. He made me sleep in the living room the entire night yesterday. After Stephen left, Farley went to work too. Chen Zhao was alone at home again. He lay on the recliner and took out the Qingyi sect books that Li Qing had given him. There were 3 main books. The first one was Qingyi Manual. It seemed to be used for cultivating qi. Qi from the east was the same as magic in the west. It just went by a different name. This book was quite useful for Chen Zhao. In all the spells he'd seen before, none of them talked about cultivating magic. Chen Zhao's magic had always been improving passively too. The Qingyi Manual would help him understand and use magic more precisely. It would also help him systematically raise his magic too. However, the method in the Qingyi Manual relied on the physical body. Blackie didn't have a physical body, so Chen Zhao couldn't pass it on to him even if he wanted to. The second book was Qingyi Techniques. The content was very complicated. It was like a spell book. However, Eastern and Western spells were completely different. It was more of a difference in the system. The first technique that Chen Zhao saw was qi observation. It was similar to Western divination. Divination had a certain accuracy. One could see the future of the target. On the other hand, qi observation looked at one's facial features to observe their qi fate. It was easy to see if they had a good or bad fate. One could also see the overall path of the person's life but couldn't predict specific events like divination. Of course, neither qi observation nor divination were 100% accurate. A person's fate wasn't unchanging. For example, Stephen could have lived to more than 90 years old. If he died due to an accident, you could say he'd died before his time. But what truly interested Chen Zhao was a technique called needle thread guidance. This technique was very special. You condensed magic in your hand or finger and then the magic would change according to your will. It could be used for attacks or medical practices. Take acupuncture, for example. If Chen Zhao was skilled enough at this technique, he wouldn't have to use needles anymore. He could use magic to perform acupuncture on patients. It wouldn't be any less precise either. That wasn't all. The records also noted some special acupoints that even acupuncture diagrams never supplied. If he sent magic into the other's body, it could keep them from dying even if they were on their last breath. Of course, there were also some special acupoints not used for treatment. Instead, they were life points. If he sent magic into those points, the person would die immediately. Chen Zhao continued reading. The Qingyi techniques didn't only record some strange techniques. There were also some offensive techniques. The third book was Strange Happenings. It recorded the strange events that the ancestors of the Qingyi sect had experienced. It didn't talk about spells or cultivation, but the content was enough to become a novel. Chen Zhao wasn't very interested. He flipped through a bit and put Strange Happenings down. Instead, he started studying the Qingyi techniques, especially the ones that were designed for medical practices. He valued these highly. After all, his main career had always been a doctor. Much of the content was useful for him. Some were complicated while others were simple. Many were techniques that he couldn't perform at the moment. However, just studying them was useless. It was like practicing on air. Chen Zhao immediately thought of Trigly and Marion, his 2 white mice locked up in the castle. They were the best testers. Since he wanted to experiment, it was best to try on living beings. Chen Zhao went to the basement. Chapter 435, Trap. Chapter 435, Trap. Trigly and Marion had been living in fear. They had no idea what they were about to face, but it would clearly be something wicked. Just then, Chen Zhao walked in and pointed at Marion. "Bring out the more injured one." "What are you doing? Where are you bringing me?" Underlings could not understand human language. Of course, even if they could, they would still obey Chen Zhao's instruction. Underlings were pretty rough creatures. Pulling and dragging, a few of them brought Marion out of the cell. On the other hand, Trigly hid in a corner and shivered in horror, not even daring to look at Chen Zhao. Soon, Marion's limbs were fixed tightly in place. Chen Zhao held his own chin with one hand. Looking at Chen Zhao's evil face, Marion could not stop shuddering. He screamed even louder. In fact, Chen Zhao had yet to do anything. He tried to cast needle thread guidance. A beam of qi converged at his fingertip. As Chen Zhao scratched Marion's wrist, its interior was completely destroyed, although his wrist still seemed normal. Of course, after the move, the qi also dissipated. "I still can't maintain it," Chen Zhao muttered to himself. Marion's ear-piercing screams almost filled the entire castle. Below them, Trigly could clearly hear Marion above the ceiling. Chen Zhao tried a few more times, but he still could not use the technique proficiently. Importantly, he could not use it for treatment. If he were to use it aggressively, it would be ineffective too. He might as well just punch his opponent. With Chen Zhao's current strength, his punch was definitely stronger than needle thread guidance. Moreover, needle thread guidance was not meant to be used in battle. Its biggest use was to treat internal injuries, such as internal muscle injuries that even modern surgery could not heal. The people in the past must have developed such a special method because they did not have surgery. In particular, there must have been many conflicts between clans such as Qingyi sect. Without a unique skill, Qingyi sect would not have survived this long. Needle thread guidance was the spell that Chen Zhao valued the most. Being able to use it perfectly would dramatically increase his medical performance. There was another spell that interested Chen Zhao, namely Qingyi armor. It was a defensive spell, like the famous kung fu move, Golden Bell. The user would condense qi on their skin to form a layer of protection. However, unlike Golden Bell, which was like an unbreakable shell, Qingyi armor would manifest itself as a layer of qi on the surface. The layer of qi could be broken, but it would be very elastic, as if the user had a layer of rubber on them. Chen Zhao found mostly attack spells, which he found unsuitable and hard to experiment. Most spells were aggressive and would use a large amount of qi per cast. Chen Zhao either could not use them or would lose all his strength after a single cast. After all, Chen Zhao was still too weak. "Kill me. Kill me," Marion begged. Chen Zhao cured Marion's wounds slightly and threw him back into the cell. In the suburbs to the north of LA, there was an abandoned church. It was a gathering place for the witches in LA. While there was no formal organization, witches would occasionally meet up. Activities included trading, gathering, and alliance. When Sienna arrived at the abandoned church, there was already someone inside. "Hey, Sienna." A girl with black hair approached Sienna and greeted her. "Carla, you're here too," Sienna said. "I heard it's a gathering organized by Ms. Teresa," Carla said. "Is it about a joint attack against Evangeline?" "Possibly," Sienna nodded. Sienna was the one who had informed everyone about it. In addition, this was perhaps the only major event recently for which Teresa would call for a meeting. Teresa was one of the senior witches in LA and an accepted witch leader. She was powerful, knowledgeable, and wise. Over 10 witches appeared one after another. The gathering was not compulsory. A witch could choose to come or not. There might be aloof witches who would rather stay hidden. "Oh, I'm getting married next month," Carla said. "Really? Congrats." Sienna had a sincere smile, but she did not want to continue the topic. After all, if they kept talking about it, Carla might invite Sienna to her wedding. Crucially, Sienna would have to give them a present. "Are you free on the 12th next month?" I'm not sure. I've been quite busy recently," Sienna said awkwardly. Just then, the side door of the church was opened. Teresa was standing at the door, and Sienna was delighted. Fortunately, Teresa had appeared in time to stop their conversation about the wedding. Teresa continued to stand at the door, but her expression was rather weird. "Miss Teresa, may I ask why you've summoned us today?" a witch asked. Suddenly, Teresa vomited a mouthful of dirty blood and a pair of hands stretched from her mouth. Then, her body was torn apart. "Bloody parasitism," someone in the crowd shouted. A bloody naked body stood before everyone with a gloomy smile. "Evangeline. She's Evangeline," Sienna shouted. It was a trap. The person who had summoned them was not Teresa, but Evangeline. An old witch mustered her courage. She waved her wand and it emitted a beam of light. "Demon, go to hell. Transform." Evangeline blocked with her hand and the magical beam was reflected onto another witch. Immediately, the witch turned into a sheep. Before she could react, Evangeline had already attacked the sheep with her bloody claws. When the sheep collapsed, it turned back into a human. "No. It's Ms. Teresa's mirror reflection. Why does she know this spell? I remember. Ms. Teresa's teacher was in the team that went to destroy the ghost ship. Do not use spells. Before mirror reflection is broken, no spells can harm her." "Then what should we do?" "Explode magical phosphor. Mirror reflection does not work against AoE attacks." After all, there were more than a dozen witches present. With advantage in number, nobody had retreated yet. Each witch more or less had some magical phosphor. But Evangeline knew that, too, so she acted first and charged into the crowd. Before mirror reflection ended, she did not need to worry about spell attacks. "Ladies, revel your last moments." Chapter 436, I memorized your scents. Chapter 436, I memorized your scents. Once Evangeline rushed into the group of witches, they were no longer able to fight back. "Run! Run!" Sienna grabbed Carla's arm. But then there was a pained cry in her ears. When she turned around, she saw that she was only holding onto Carla's arm. Evangeline's hands had penetrated Carla's body, lifting her high up. She bit down on Carla's neck and started munching on the flesh. Sienna's knees turned weak from fright. Evangeline was focused on eating Carla, so she didn't pay much attention to Sienna. She soon sucked Carla dry and tossed the dried corpse to the side. Sienna pointed a gun at Evangeline, but the woman grinned. "Little girl, you think guns are effective against me?" Bang! A giant hole opened up on Evangeline's forehead. "Ah!" Evangeline cried out in pain. "I'll kill you." Sienna's gun didn't use the average bullet. They were made out of angelic crystals. But this was her last bullet. Evangeline was in immense pain. She reached into the hole and dug out the bullet. The flesh around the hole wriggled and filled the hole again. Vine entanglement. Evangeline was about to attack Sienna when a witch in the distance cast a spell on her. Vine entanglement wasn't an offensive spell. Instead, it was a restraint spell, so the mirror reflection was ineffective. However, Evangeline was too strong now. Vine entanglement only slightly delayed her movements. The next moment, she intensified her movements and tore apart the vines. "Ruler of the land, please restrain the demon before my eyes." The ground under Evangeline suddenly softened. Her feet started sinking in. "Drag it out. Delay her until the mirror reflection ends." The group of witches slightly stabilized the situation, but Evangeline was still threatening, even with her feet restricted. Evangeline opened her mouth. Her long and narrow tongue went right through a witch's skull. "Help me," a witch cried. "Lend me magic. I'm going to use the spirit of mountains." Two witches immediately ran over to their partner. Each one put a palm on her back, temporarily lending magic to her. "Mighty spirit of the mountains, please show your strength." A round boulder plummeted onto Evangeline's head. It weighed around 3 or 4 tons. The ground shook from the collision. Phew! It's finally over. But just as everyone thought that it was over, the boulder suddenly jumped up. The witch that had cast the spirit of mountains was turned into a bloody pulp. "You're all gonna die," Evangeline roared crazily. "Lord of the past, please bestow upon me unlimited strength to seal the evil before my eyes." A 6-point star emerged under Evangeline's feet. Chains shot out along the star, locking Evangeline down tightly. "Go. This seal won't be able to restrain her for long. Don't even think about escaping. I've memorized your scent. I've memorized your scent." All the witches fled. They knew that Evangeline wasn't joking. She would hunt them down one by one and then rip them to shreds. "Sienna, where are you? How are you?" Rupert had already heard about what happened in the abandoned church. All the witches in L.A. and even the entire magic world in America knew what had happened. A witch who'd transformed into a monster had set up a trap to massacre the witches of L.A. At least half of the witches had died, while the monster was temporarily sealed. However, with the strength of the seal, the monster broke free as soon as the witches left. Sienna picked up the phone. "Rupert, don't stay in L.A. anymore. No one can defeat that monster. Are you okay?" Sienna wasn't hurt, but she was truly frightened. What had happened in that church was terrifying. The power that Evangeline had displayed was completely above the average person. A typical person or witch couldn't counter her at all. "Didn't you say your friend could do it?" "Him? I'm afraid that even he can't do it. That monster is too scary. A dozen of us went against her, but it was still a massacre. We couldn't even hurt her." Of course, it was mainly because Evangeline's entrance had shocked the other witches, scarring them mentally. Now, no one would be willing to meet up if anyone else proposed it. Who knew if it would be another trap? Sienna also remembered Carla, who died right in front of her. She was going to get married next week. But she would never have the chance to wear a wedding gown. Only one thought was in Sienna's mind: escape from L.A. She rushed home and frantically stuffed her clothes into her suitcase. Chris and Shirley happened to return and saw the crazed Sienna. "Sienna, what's wrong? Where are you going?" "I'm going out for some time." "Where?" "I don't know," Sienna said. "Don't follow me." "Sienna, what exactly happened?" "That monster Evangeline has her eyes on me. I need to leave this place." "We can ask Chen. He can definitely defeat the monster." "No, it's impossible. No one can defeat her. I personally saw how terrifying she was. She's even scarier than in the surveillance video. It's like she's a demon that just climbed out of the bloody sea in hell. Even Chen can't defeat her. You didn't see how terrible she is. The 10 of us witches were as weak as kittens before her, butchered by her at will." Sienna trembled as she spoke. Shirley and Chris could both see that Sienna wasn't stable now. She was traumatized. They couldn't imagine what Sienna had encountered that could terrify her so much when she was usually so strong. Sienna ran out without even locking her suitcase. Shirley and Chris were about to chase after her, but Sienna put a curse on the door. The two immediately felt an invisible wall blocking their path. "Sienna," Chris cried out anxiously. "Where are you going? Don't follow me. Otherwise, you'll be in danger too." Chapter 437, What Does This Shave? Chapter 437, What Does This Shave? "Chris, call Chen." Cheryl looked out of the window and located Sienna, after which she jumped out. Chris could not stop Cheryl. When she rushed to the window, Cheryl had already made her way down the wall. Chris would love to learn from Cheryl and jump down from the 10th floor, but considering her strength, she gave up. She would probably end up paralyzed. Can't get through. Chris could not reach Chen Zhao. Sorry, the number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Damn, Chen, where are you? Just pick up already. When Chris ran downstairs, Sienna and Cheryl were nowhere to be seen. Chen, please, pick up. Pick up. Sorry, the number you have dialed. It was the same response. Chris almost went insane in her panic. At the moment, Chen Zhao was training a few underlings. Chen Zhao showed the 10 underlings a photo on his phone. Remember, this is the madam. If you can't even remember this, I'll twist your heads off and kick them like football. The 10 underlings fought to look at the phone. They could hardly recognize humans, so they were trying their best to memorize the face in the photo. In fact, it was a common characteristic of most demons in hell. It was just like how Chen Zhao could not differentiate the 10 underlings. Nevertheless, the underlings could distinguish people based on smell. Chen Zhao took some of Farley's common items and asked the underlings to remember her smell. Right, now let me test you, Chen Zhao said as he picked a few photos. Which one is the madam? This one. The 10 underlings gave very different answers. They could not even tell the gender of a person. One of them got it right, but Chen Zhao really suspected that it was just because of probability, not that the underling actually recognized Farley. After all, even if the underlings had randomly selected a photo each, one or two of them would probably get it correct. Indeed, Chen Zhao tested the underling alone and this time he was wrong. Next, Chen Zhao took out a few pieces of clothing. Some of them had been worn by Farley, while others had not. Which of them belonged to the madam? This time, all the 10 underlings got it right. They managed to pick out precisely all the items that Farley had worn. Great, follow me now, Chen Zhao said. It's internship time. Chen Zhao brought the 10 underlings and left through the magic door. Just then, his phone suddenly notified him of over 10 missed calls from Chris. Stunned, Chen Zhao called back, "Hey, Chris, what happened?" "Chen, we have a big problem. Sienna is now being hunted by that monster, and Cheryl went to find her. I've been trying to reach you all this while. What should we do?" Chris said anxiously. "When did this happen?" "About 2 hours ago." Chen Zhao's face darkened. He did not expect there to be an emergency right when he was in the space crevice. "Do you know where they are now?" "No." "How? Can you find them?" Chris asked, lost and panicked. Chen Zhao gave it some thought. "Find something that Sienna or Cheryl uses. Black Ma and White Ma should be able to locate them." Chen Zhao was actually unsure, but apart from the silly twins, the underlings could help to track them via smell as well. "Okay, I'll be right there." Although Black Ma and White Ma would be able to find the two, Chen Zhao did not plan to bring them along. After all, they had entered the human world in their true forms. If there was danger, they might die immediately. The other demons were of little use, too. To be honest, Chen Zhao was probably stronger than them at the moment. Therefore, Chen Zhao only planned to bring a few underlings with him. He sent the rest back into the crevice. Even if the few underlings died, Chen Zhao would not regret it. There were more than 1,000 underlings in the crevice, after all. If they were allowed to reproduce, they could cause a population explosion. Chris sped to Chen Zhao's house. After she alighted, she sprinted toward Chen Zhao. "Chen, this is Sienna's razor. Is it all right?" Chen Zhao took the razor. "Yes. What does this shave?" "Leg hair. Watch my house for me. I'm going now." Chen Zhao left in his car. "Sienna, where are you?" Rupert called Sienna. "I received news that Evangeline has appeared." Chapter 438 Reinforcements are here. Chapter 438 Reinforcements are here. "Cheryl, why are you here?" Sienna looked at Cheryl lying in the trunk with a livid expression. "Obviously to protect you." "I don't need your protection. Go back right this instant. Go back." You want me to go back? Cheryl pointed behind them. The end of the road was under the dark night and endless forests. One couldn't even see the distance. Don't you know that you're just adding to the trouble by being here? But I have werewolf blood. Cheryl showed her fangs and claws. I feel like I'll be in more danger with you by my side. You don't trust me, Cheryl said unhappily. You're already here, so I guess I can't force you away. Where are we going now? Cheryl asked. Sienna was silent for a bit. Then she turned toward Yiberg. Dad, which way is safe? That way, Yiberg said. Are you sure? Sienna asked. I feel danger creeping closer, so we definitely can't go back. What? Danger is creeping closer? Yes, a very dangerous aura is approaching. Why didn't you say so earlier? You didn't ask. How far away is she? About. Footsteps suddenly sounded in the darkness. Cheryl immediately pounced into the darkness, but she was quickly hurled out of it. Evangeline strolled out of the darkness. Where did this wolf cub come from? Evangeline. Sienna's expression changed drastically. How did you find me? Evangeline was completely different from the terrifying and cruel appearance from before. She was clean and wearing a feminine jacket, jeans, and heeled sandals. Her long hair fluttered as she strolled over. Are you wondering because you hid your scent? Evangeline smiled as if mocking Sienna's supposed cleverness. You're not the only one who did that. Actually, the other witches I found earlier all used the invisibility potion to hide their scents, like you. But I must say, all of you are stupid. Why do you think that I can't memorize your scents? You said it yourself. Sienna finally understood. No matter what Evangeline became, she still had a human's body. How could a human remember another human's scent and travel miles to find them? I said that I memorized your scents, Evangeline continued, still smiling. But the scent I'm talking about isn't your physical scent. It's the smell of your magic. Sienna's expression changed again. Everything she'd done earlier to hide her scent had been useless. It was all to no avail. Evangeline pulled a string of things out from behind her. Both Sienna and Cheryl were shocked. She'd pulled out a string of witch heads. One glance would send shivers down one's spine. Are they familiar? It's okay if they're not. You'll be companions with them soon. You'll have a long time to get to know each other. What do you want? Want, Evangeline thought for a long while. It seemed like she hadn't decided yet or was pretending to be deep in thought. A beat later, she said, First, I need this city, the entire country, to have no one who can threaten me. With your current abilities, no one can threaten you anymore. No, no, no. The witches are only in panic because of me. When you all process everything, you'll definitely think of a solution. There have been many examples in the past. I don't think I've already reached an unprecedented level, so I need to become even stronger. Since you know that, why don't you hide? You're only making more witches unite. Evangeline suddenly started laughing. Her voice was no longer a woman's, or even a human's. It sounded like a dozen voices mixed together. Why should I hide? Just like I can find you, you witches can find me too. Instead of that, why don't I take the initiative and kill you all? Are you sure you can do that? Sienna sneered. If Evangeline wanted to kill all the witches, she wouldn't be able to do anything else in her life. There were more than 100 witches in L.A. Plus, just look at what had happened in the church today. Evangeline could only manage a team of a dozen witches. If there were more, even she would find it difficult. She'd only directed that whole play to terrorize the other witches. This way, the witches would focus on protecting themselves instead of going against her. But if the majority of witches felt danger, they would definitely work together. By then, even Evangeline wouldn't be able to escape from death. No matter how strong she was only one person. Unless she could destroy the earth and heavens in an instant, she would never be able to defeat an entirety. It was like a soccer game between one world-class professional and 11 amateurs. No matter how talented the professional athlete was, he wouldn't be able to defeat a whole team. I don't know, Evangeline said. But I can try. Sienna could feel that Evangeline still had some reserves. She hadn't revealed her true motive. Okay, I don't have much time. Are you going to let me take your head off, or are you going to keep struggling? The car started suddenly. Yiberg steered the car and crashed toward Evangeline. Boom. Evangeline pushed the car with 2 hands. It couldn't go an inch forward. That's all you got? Evangeline sneered. Just then, another car appeared behind her. She couldn't turn around anymore. That small truck crashed into her from before. Thud. She was stuck between 2 cars. She tried to push them away, but both drivers slammed on the gas. Evangeline couldn't apply much power with her current posture either. Just as Cheryl and Sienna thought that Evangeline was under control, Yiberg's car suddenly died. It didn't have gas anymore. Evangeline overturned the car in anger. But then the other car slammed on the gas and crushed Evangeline. But even after getting crushed, she stood up without any injuries. The truck stopped and Chen Zhao got out. Sienna, Cheryl, I finally found you too. It wasn't easy. Chen, how come it's you? Why are you here? Hurry and leave. You're not her match. Chapter 439 Bitch, Stop Running. Chapter 439. Bitch, stop running. None of you shall leave. Evangeline was totally enraged. As she smashed a bottle on the ground, more than a dozen witch souls appeared beside her. Sienna's expression changed drastically. The souls were precisely those that had been killed earlier. Carla was among them. However, the souls had long lost their rationality. All the witches had turned into evil spirits, the most ferocious type. Sienna, Cheryl, hide in the truck, Chen Zhao said. Leave the rest to me. Chen, you'll never beat her alone. Can you not see the situation? Sienna shouted. Can't you have more faith in me? Chen Zhao said. Haha, is a wizard going to stop me? Evangeline laughed. Has your teacher, or the girl beside you, never told you the difference between wizards and witches? Suddenly, Chen Zhao charged forward. When he was a few meters away from Evangeline, he lifted the overturned car beside him and flung it at Evangeline's head. Bang! Sienna's car was completely destroyed. Sienna and Cheryl's eyes almost dropped out. Is this a human's strength? The strength that Chen Zhao had displayed was similar to that of Evangeline. Just then, Evangeline stood up again. She similarly stared at Chen Zhao in surprise. Who's he? Why is he so strong? Go and tear him to pieces. Evangeline was not planning to fight head-on with Chen Zhao. After all, with so many evil spirits, the big boss could just stand and watch. Chen Zhao leisurely snapped his fingers. Immediately, one of the witch souls became distorted. It was as if the soul was being pulled and then crushed by something. Finally, in her scream, the witch soul turned into starlight. Evangeline, Sienna, and Cheryl all watched with their eyes wide open. They had no idea what had just happened. Then, another witch soul was eliminated. Chen Zhao had not even moved. Come, make a few more. Do you just have a few evil spirits? That's not challenging at all. Evil spirits? Just a few evil spirits. Sienna could not deal with a single evil spirit here, not to mention a dozen of them. All of them were atrocious evil spirits that could easily eradicate ordinary evil spirits. However, they were erased by Chen Zhao effortlessly. Nobody could accept such an outcome, whether it was Chen Zhao's enemy Evangeline, or his allies Sienna and Cheryl. Evangeline's expression changed. She did not know how powerful Chen Zhao was. Nevertheless, she did not want to fight anymore. Sienna was not a must-kill target. Hence, she turned around and ran without hesitation. Seeing Evangeline's attempt to flee, Chen Zhao quickly gave chase. Sienna and Cheryl looked in the direction where the two disappeared and sighed. Clearly, it was not a fight that they could participate in. It was a battle between two monsters. Bitch, weren't you full of yourself just now? Stop running if you dare. Incensed, Evangeline stopped at once. She had never been humiliated like this before. Do you really think I'm scared of you? Then why were you running away? Chen Zhao provoked. Evangeline sneered. Then, Her body began to deform and arms stretched out from her back. 1 arm, 2, 3, 4. Are you going to transform into thousand-hand bodhisattva? Soon, Evangeline had 30 or 40 arms on her body. There were too many for Chen Zhao to count. Nevertheless, this was not the most frightening part. Most of her arms had magic wands on them. Transform. Vine entanglement. Subsidence. Fuck. That's OP. Chen Zhao jumped and dodged the 3 spells. Evangeline had just cast 3 spells. Moreover, they were instant casts. To be honest, Chen Zhao was really no match for Evangeline in terms of sorcery. Before Chen Zhao could regain his footing, Evangeline predicted his movement and cast another spell. Earth Seal. Chen Zhao realized that he was standing on a magical hexagram, his feet glued to the ground. Evangeline looked at Chen Zhao with a ferocious smile. Now, do you understand the difference between us? Chen Zhao rubbed his nose and shrugged. Well, you're indeed better than me at magic. Man, I now give you a chance to surrender. Bitch, can you stop playing the surrender game? If you look slightly more normal, I might just surrender, but you look really disgusting. I'm glad that I didn't have dinner, or I would die throwing up. Are you really so eager to die? Gloom flashed across Evangeline's eyes. If only you can kill me. You're playing with fire. Evangeline pointed at Chen Zhao with her finger. Disease. Chen Zhao's cursed eye opened at once. The mouth of Glutton also devoured the curse instantly. After consuming the curse, Chen Zhao felt much more energetic. Swallow all. Evangeline looked at Chen Zhao in surprise. You know a spell from the 7 demon kings? With the knowledge of more than a dozen witches, Evangeline naturally knew what a 7 demon king spell was. If the spell was cast by an old and powerful witch, Evangeline would not be shocked. Although not many people knew any 7 demon kings spell, there would always be a few special ones. However, importantly, the spell was cast by an Asian man. Evangeline became even more curious. At the same time, she felt that Chen Zhao must have some secrets on him. Hence, she was even less willing to kill Chen Zhao. If she could dig out the secrets, she might become even more powerful. How was that? Aren't you surprised? Chen Zhao glanced at his right arm. Evangeline frowned and said, although I can obtain your secrets from your corpse, I feel that you're strong enough. I don't mind giving you another chance to choose. Are you sure that you're going to win? If you have any other abilities, you should use them now. Evangeline sneered and looked at Chen Zhao. Suddenly, a demonic ritual implement appeared in Chen Zhao's hands. He tossed it on the ground. And then came the second one. The third, the fourth, the 10th, the 20th. What are these? Evangeline was confused. I'm calling my friends, Chen Zhao answered. Chapter 440, Finish your curse if you want to curse me. Chapter 440, Finish your curse if you want to curse me. Sienna and Shirley stood on the side of the road, watching the fog rising in the forest. How come there's fog? Is this a spell? Shirley asked. I think Chen used this the first time we met. Then that pureblood werewolf appeared. Like this time? The fog is thicker this time, Shirley said. Much thicker than before. Sienna felt a bit cold. A chill rose up from her feet. The fog rose up without any warning in the forest, blocking her vision of Chen Zhao. Just then, a phone rang. Hey, Farley. I'm busy. I'll get home later. You eat dinner first. Evangeline felt that Chen Zhao didn't think she was important at all. You think this mist can save you, she yelled. All her arms waved wands at the same time. Spirits of the wind, listen to my call. A large wind started up, blowing the mist apart. Evangeline's vision cleared again. But when she saw close to 30 strange things of various sizes around Chen Zhao, she felt her knees go weak. The creatures were all different types. Some were strong and some were weak. The one that caught her attention was the woman in white standing next to Chen Zhao. She looked like a ghost and radiated with a terrifying aura. What What are these things? Things to kill you. Chen Zhao pointed at Evangeline. Rip her apart. Evangeline pointed her dozen wands at Chen Zhao, casting countless spells at him. Ah! Right then, Jessica started moving. She let out a shrill cry. The shriek seemed to tear apart the air and spread forward. In an instant, those dozen spells were destroyed by the sound waves. As if suffering from a windstorm, Evangeline was covered in injuries. This was such terrifying power. What exactly was that woman? She definitely wasn't a ghost. A ghost didn't have this kind of power. Merely her scream could scatter a dozen spells at once. Run. I can't stay here. I'll really die. Evangeline turned to flee, but then a huge creature stopped before her. This demon was called the Boar King, but despite the name, it was just a pig, an inferior demon. Boar Kings were actually very weak, but its skin was thick and tough. It was big too. If it was given an iron-toothed rake, it would look like the pig, Zhu Baji, in the Journey to the West. Evangeline crashed against the Boar King's stomach. The demon didn't budge while Evangeline ricocheted back. She wasn't willing to give up. Evangeline cast another spell at the Boar King. However, her spells practically had no effect against demons. After all, a human couldn't compare to the endurance of demons. The spells of the human world were mostly the watered-down versions. The Boar King crashed against Evangeline. She hurriedly grabbed its tusks, but the Boar King's momentum was too big. She kept retreating, unable to stop. The next moment, the bloody hunter's claw grabbed onto Evangeline's back. Her many arms were broken directly. A two-headed snake wrapped around the lower half of her body. She fell to the ground and the Boar King slammed down on her, even crushing the two-headed snake. Ah! Evangeline cried out in pain. Don't kill her. We haven't started yet. Ever since the bloody hunter was summoned by Chen Zhao 3 times and news spread through town that he could get a demonic crystal every time, all the demons in town anticipated for Chen Zhao to summon them. The chance finally came, but he'd summoned a bit too many demons, while their opponent was actually this weak. Evangeline was on the ground before most of the demons could act. How could this be? This was practically wasting their chance to have fun in the human world. No, they definitely had to show off before the Living Lord. If they didn't do anything and returned to hell empty-handed, it would be embarrassing. Living Lord, check out my trick, the death penetration. Ah, Evangeline's head was stabbed by a demon's horn. Check out my spiral of despair. Mine is death penalty. My trick. Finally, Evangeline's body was shattered and she was on her last breath. She's close, Jessica said, glancing at her. Chen Zhao finally walked over to Evangeline. How is it? Does it feel good to go through the whole thing? Evangeline looked up with half-closed eyes. Her limbs were practically all destroyed. Her body had a million holes. Chapter 441, He's Probably Dead. Chapter 441, He's Probably Dead. The fog has dissipated. I wonder what's happened inside. Should we go in and take a look? What if Chen lost? Sienna and Cheryl were both worried and scared. After all, they had seen for themselves how terrifying Evangeline was. Could Chen Zhao really defeat Evangeline? While Chen Zhao was powerful too, Evangeline was more formidable. Just then, a car shot towards them at high speed. In an instant, the car stopped before them and Chris rushed out. Sienna, Cheryl, are you all right? Chris looked at the two in worry. We're fine. How did you find us? Your sister brought me here, Chris said. Rupert also alighted from the car with Camilla. Then, Rupert stared at the car components scattered all over the ground, as well as the now flattened car. What happened here? Camilla gasped. It was the real world, not a movie. No sorcerer here could shatter the earth and overturn the seas. The devastation before them was astonishing enough. Where's Evangeline? Rupert asked. I think she's battling with Chen in the woods, Sienna said. Is he mad? Does he know what he's doing? Rupert exclaimed. He's literally trying to kill himself. Let's leave now. After Evangeline kills him, she'll certainly be back. We'll be doomed by then. No, Chen's not going to lose. He's very powerful, Cheryl said. Really? Rupert did not believe her. In just that day, more than a dozen witches had been killed, which was enough to show how frightening Evangeline was. Did they still have hope in him? How ridiculous. Sienna, stop being stubborn. Let's go before it's too late, Rupert urged. Sienna shook her head and said resolutely, Chen came here to save me. He might be in danger now. I can't leave. Teacher, please say something, Rupert said helplessly. Camilla hesitated for a moment. Sienna, let's go. It's really impossible. If we stay, we'll only add to Evangeline's trophy collection, which is meaningless. If you want to avenge your friend, you should stay alive and summon more witches to attack Evangeline. Staying here will bring nothing but more deaths. Camilla was similarly not confident in Chen Zhao. After all, Evangeline had such an alarming battle record. It was worse than the ghost ship last time. Ghost ships were dangerous because they would float on the sea. That time, more than 10 witches went to fight the ghost ship. They lost only because they were trapped in the sea. But Evangeline was different. She was purely a powerful individual. Thus, Camilla was pretty sure that Chen Zhao would never come out of the forest again. Sienna, where are you going? Are you mad? Rupert stopped Sienna. Rupert almost went insane when she saw Sienna walk toward the forest. Why would Sienna be so stupid despite having the same teacher as her? Even if Chen has died, I won't let his body lie in the wild, Sienna said lightly. Cheryl, leave with Chris first. No, I think that Chen can win, Cheryl said stubbornly. I'm not leaving either. I'm going in, Chris insisted with a similar tone. She was not afraid, or she would not have come here. More precisely, her concern toward Sienna and Cheryl suppressed her fear. 3 mad women, Rupert turned around and left. Just go in and kill yourself. I'm not going in. However, after taking a few steps, Rupert turned around and cursed, fuck. Why am I doing this? I should be lying in bed with my puppet now. The 4 women and a spirit entered the forest. While the fog was gone, the forest was still ghastly. Everyone walked with great care, not even daring to make the slightest of noise. Rupert, who had been cursing outside the forest, also kept quiet. There's nothing here. Maybe they've gone back to sleep. I think we should turn back, Rupert muttered. Shut up, Sienna roared softly in annoyance. Crack. Suddenly, Chris stopped. The other 3 also stood still. Chris, what happened? I think I stepped on something. The group lowered their heads. It was something long. Then, Chris started to scream. It was an arm. Shh. Quiet, quiet. Sienna quickly covered Chris's mouth to prevent her from yelling again. Why? Why is there an arm here? Chris's face paled in horror and she could not calm down. Let's leave. That Chinese must be dead by now. Shut up. Ignoring Rupert's reaction, Sienna, Chris, and Cheryl were determined to keep moving. Whose arm was that? Rupert asked. None of the 3 answered or was willing to answer. I think it belongs to a female, Camilla said. Sienna's eyes brightened. Teacher, you mean that wasn't Chen's arm? No, a man's arm should be thicker than that, Camilla said. So Chen managed to pull Evangeline's arm off during the battle. You left too quickly today to hear about it, but when Evangeline attacked one of the witches, she turned into a horrifying form. She had dozens of arms on her body, Rupert said. But she's never used it before me. Because you're too weak for her. That Chinese must have enraged her. That's why she transformed into that form. Hearing Rupert's words, Sienna, Chris, and Cheryl felt even more worried and uneasy. Look. There. Puke. The group saw many arms and pools of blood all over the ground. What an intense battle, Camilla commented. That wizard's quite powerful. Look at what he's done to Evangeline. Chen's there. Cheryl suddenly exclaimed in excitement. Everyone saw Chen Zhao sitting under a tree. They charged forward at once and Sienna tried to pull him up from the ground. Chen, what happened? Chen, wake up. Chapter 442, Victoria. Chapter 442, Victoria. Stop shaking, Chen Zhao called out. I'm awake, I'm awake. He'd eaten too much and couldn't keep walking, so he'd sat down before a tree. Then he ended up falling asleep. He didn't know how long he'd slept before being shaken awake by Sienna. Chen, are you hurt? Where's Evangeline? She's dead, Chen Zhao said. She won't threaten you anymore. You won. Yes. You really won? The group didn't believe it. Yeah. Then where's Evangeline's body? Ah. Try piecing it together. You might get a full body. Chen Zhao pointed at the bits of flesh and carnage in the distance. It had all been sliced down from Evangeline. Chen, did you really win Evangeline? Yeah. Chen Zhao touched his right arm. You're not hurt. Rupert studied Chen Zhao, still in disbelief. How terrifying was Evangeline? Everyone here knew. But now, this wizard said that he'd defeated Evangeline without getting hurt at all. Who would believe that? Be careful, Shirley had been supporting Chen Zhao, but she tripped and brought Chen Zhao down too. Chen Zhao hurriedly held onto a tree nearby. Crack. The tree was about the width of a thigh and it fell at Chen Zhao's touch. The four women and a ghost gaped at Chen Zhao. Chen, just how strong are you? He'd lost control of his strength again. He probably couldn't touch Farley today again. After exiting the forest, Chen Zhao let out a long sigh. Okay, the problem's solved. I need to get back. Chen, thank you. No need to thank me. You should thank Chris. She's the one who took out your razor. Chen Zhao took out Sienna's razor. But how come I couldn't find your scent? Thankfully, there's a bit of your magic left on it. Otherwise, even I wouldn't be able to find you. Sienna exploded in anger and snatched the razor from his hands. But the others couldn't see her expression clearly in the night. Chris, why couldn't you find something else? Why did you have to take this out? I just grabbed it and didn't think too much. Chen Zhao didn't go with Sienna and the others. A while later, a black shadow suddenly darted out from the side of the road. Chen Zhao was taken by surprise. Then there was a loud crash. He got out of the car and saw that the hood was completely distorted and there was a wild pig on the ground. The pig kept screaming miserably. When Chen Zhao went over, the pig squirmed violently. However, its front legs seemed to have been broken and couldn't move. Chen Zhao pressed it down, making it struggle even harder. However, it wasn't easy for it to fight against Chen Zhao's strength. Sleep. Chen Zhao hypnotized the pig and tossed it in the trunk. He remembered that he'd promised to give Marjorie a pet. Perfect. This pig could be his companion. He fed the pig some intelligence potion and then drove toward Marjorie's hiding spot. When he got to the highway outside the hiding spot, Chen Zhao picked the pig up and walked toward the mountain forest. While walking, he dug out his phone. Marjorie, I'm coming. Marjorie was waiting outside the cave. He saw Chen Zhao come with a wild pig. Ha. Chen, you know that I haven't had meat recently and brought me a pig. You're so good to me. Fuck off, this is the pet I'm giving you. It's not food. If you dare eat it, I'll kill you. What? Are you kidding? You're giving me a wild boar for a pet? Yes. Is there a problem? I don't want it. I definitely will not have a pig for a pet. It's as smart as Princess. Marjorie was tempted. Are you sure? When have I ever lied to you? It really is as smart as Princess. Yes. Do you want it? If you don't, I'll take it home. I want it. But how come it's hurt? When I was bringing it over, it jumped out of the car and got hurt. That's sad. Oh, what's it called? I haven't named it yet. I was waiting for you. Call it Victoria, Marjorie said. Is there something special about this name? Chen Zhao asked curiously. I had a dog before called Victoria. Okay, I have to treat its legs. Victoria woke up while Chen Zhao was treating it. However, it didn't have its original fear. Instead, it looked at Chen Zhao and Marjorie with confusion. "Take out what food you have and feed it," Chen Zhao said. Marjorie hurriedly took out some food. Victoria didn't reject him. When it looked at Marjorie, it seemed to have something else in its gaze. "You have to talk to it more," Chen Zhao said. "It's smart. The more you say, the more it can understand. Princess is smart because I'm always talking to it." "Oh, okay. Victoria's injuries aren't bad. It should be okay in 2 days. You'll have to take more care of it before that." "Ah. Chen, can you get me a car?" Marjorie asked, a bit embarrassed. After all, he was basically eating Chen Zhao's food, using his stuff, and asking him for other things. Marjorie had a big ego. He would never proactively ask unless he had no other choice. "Sure. I'll get you a car when I bring you things in a few days." "Thank you, Chen." Chen Zhao hugged Marjorie. When he saw Marjorie's eyes, he felt that the man had to go out for a bit. No one was willing to stay in the mountain and live like a caveman for life. Marjorie probably planned on doing some things. "If there's anything I can help you with, just let me know." Marjorie nodded. "Chen, when did you start seeing me as a friend?" Chen Zhao thought back to how he met Marjorie. The first meeting wasn't a happy one. That time, Marjorie's boss had been shot. If Chen Zhao hadn't been able to save his boss, Marjorie definitely would have killed him. "Probably when we were both beaten up by Gaia." The two started laughing stupidly. Sometimes, men's friendships were just that strange. The first time, they separated on bad terms. The second time Marjorie went to find him, Chen Zhao had accepted grudgingly because of the money. The third time, it felt natural. Chapter 443, Slave Owner and the Madam. Chapter 443, Slave Owner and the Madam. When Chen Zhao returned home, Farley was still awake. She immediately went to prepare dinner for him. "Farley, wait, I have something to show you." "What?" "To be accurate, it's not a thing," Chen Zhao said, smiling. "Let me go to the basement." Chen Zhao rushed downstairs. After a while, he brought 10 underlings from the basement. "What are these?" Farley was not scared of the 10 strange little things beside Chen Zhao. After all, she had seen things that were much more terrifying. The 10 underlings did not look very frightening. Of course, they were not cute either. "They're called underlings. Starting today, they'll be our servants," Chen Zhao said. "Do they have names?" "Nope." "Then can I give them names?" "Of course, but don't pick anything complicated. I don't think they can remember those." "Are they very dumb?" "Actually, they're smarter than Princess, but they generally do not have names. They live in groups and have a very weak concept of individuality. It's like a nest of ants." "Will you name every ant?" "But I just want to name them." "No problem," Chen Zhao said with bitter laughter. It was one of the few times when Farley was playful. Chen Zhao waved his arm and the 10 underlings stood before them in a row. "Master, Madam." They sound weird. They can't speak any human language. To be fair, they spent quite a long time just to learn those 2 words. "Then how should I ask them to do stuff for me?" "That will be easy. They're very talented in this area." To be blunt, underlings were professional servants in hell. They could complete any manual work to an outstanding extent. If an underling lost its job, it would lose its significance. They would even give up and feed themselves to wyverns. Perhaps that would be their last contribution in life. Although they could not speak any human language, they were not stupid. If required by their job, they would very quickly adapt to any new environment and language. "From today, you'll be the slave owner, Madam." "No, that sounds so ugly." Then, Chen Zhao and Farley brought the 10 underlings around the house, teaching them some general knowledge in the meantime. Of course, Chen Zhao and Blackie had already taught them most things in the crevice. All they lacked now was practice. For example, if there was a visitor, they had to hide and make sure that they would not be discovered. In addition, when Chen Zhao and Farley were not at home, they had to take care of the pets. They learned this really quickly. After all, most of them had the experience of raising wyverns. With the underlings to look after the pets, Chen Zhao no longer needed to bring them whatever he went. In the past, Chen Zhao was worried that his pets would not take care of themselves or would destroy the house if left alone. Take Black Ma and White Ma for example. Although they seemed lively, they were still somewhat sensitive. For example, they would feel sad if they saw Princess being praised. Chen Zhao and Farley liked to lean against Princess. Knowing this, the silly twins would mimic Princess's posture every day and lie before Chen Zhao and Farley, hoping that they would lean against them instead. To be honest, while they were huge, they were much less comfortable to lean on. Half of Princess's body was fat, which made her really soft. In addition, the silly twins could not maintain any posture for more than 5 minutes before they had to move. On the other hand, Princess would not sit if she could lie down, would not stand if she could sit, and would not move if she could stay still. She was literally the land version of Amorn. Lastly, because the house was so large, most areas required regular cleaning. With underling helpers, this would become much easier. The next day, once Farley and Chen Zhao got out of bed, a few underlings immediately came in to tidy their bed and wash their pajamas. Then, they prepared breakfast for the pets and readied toiletries for the two. They finished everything without any reminder. To underlings, these were basic work. They could understand them without any commands. Farley finally experienced what it was like to be a master. The underlings really knew how to take care of people. They would not even stop for a second. A, B, C, D, E, go and fertilize the plants around. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, go and clean the entire house. Also, change and wash the quilts. Upon receiving Chen Zhao's order, the 10 underlings began working at once. Chen, are you going out today? Yes, Chen Zhao nodded, but not so early. All right. I'm going to work now. See you. Chen Zhao kissed Farley and watched as she left in her car. Shortly after Farley left, a truck came. Gaia alighted from the truck. Chen, I've brought you your special fitness equipment according to your request. A few workers walked up and asked, Sir, where should we place the equipment? Just carry them down and place them on the ground, Chen Zhao said. Sir, the equipment is very heavy. We need machines for loading and unloading. Are you sure you don't need us to deliver them into your house? Just listen to him and place them on the ground. All right. The workers placed the fitness equipment before the villa. After receiving a tip from Chen Zhao, they left. How much does all this cost? 20,000. I don't have that much cash. I'll transfer you later. You sure you can use these? Gaia stared at Chen Zhao. The smallest piece of equipment was a 300-kilogram dumbbell. As for the barbell, the bar alone was 3 meters long and 10 centimeters in diameter. It was difficult to even hold it with one hand. The bar itself weighed 50 kilograms. The smallest weight was 100 kilograms heavy, while the biggest was 500 kilograms, and there were 20 pieces of them. Chen Zhao grabbed the bar and started to add the heaviest weights. 1, 2, 3. Chen Zhao placed 4 pieces on each side. With the weight of the barbell now weighed over 4,000 kilograms. Gaia stared at Chen Zhao. Can he really lift such a heavy object? No way. No human can lift this. Chapter 444, Xiangliu Qingyi. Chapter 444, Xiangliu Qingyi. Chen Zhao tried his strength. This weight was pretty much his limit. He couldn't pick it up with one hand. He applied force and pulled. The bar lifted. Gaia's eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Right now, Chen Zhao was a monster to her. He could only lift the 4-ton barbell to his chest. He couldn't lift it over his head like standard weightlifting. Thud. Chen Zhao tossed the barbell down. His left arm was clearly weaker than his right. Of course, he was already strong enough for regular situations. Right now, I'm doubting if you're a human. Well, I'm not a regular human. Is it possible for me to reach this level? Chen Zhao thought about it and replied, my situation is a bit special. But you can still surpass your current limit. How much will it cost? Train Tiger well, how about that? I'm only in charge of his technique. You're definitely more professional in terms of strength and fitness. Then after he recovers fully in a bit, I'll train both of you for fitness. Gaia nodded. Chen Zhao agreed to her request because of their friendship, so she wouldn't take advantage of it. After sitting in Chen Zhao's house for an hour and touring it, she left. Chen Zhao didn't plan on moving Gaia's equipment into the house. It would damage the infrastructure if it fell onto the ground. He planned on just leaving it outside. After exercising for half an hour, he started getting ready. He washed up and put on a casual outfit to go out. He always cared about his appearance. Whether he went out for work or visiting friends, he would always tidy himself up. Today's schedule was to visit the Sean family. Yesterday, Sean had called, saying that his father's situation may have changed. Chen Zhao had to go look. When he reached the manor, the atmosphere was still heavy. They were the mafia, after all. But Chen Zhao was a regular guest, so he was led into the manor after a slight check. Mr. Chen. Sean went over to him and shook his hand. Chen Zhao had proven his abilities in the past few months. Sean's father had been declared to only have 3 months left, but Chen Zhao had already stretched out that number. Thus, he also gained Sean's trust. Sean would notify him immediately about his father's condition. Mr. Sean, how is your father? I don't know about the specifics, but according to the servant taking care of him, his facial muscles keep twitching. When did it start? Yesterday. Sean took Chen Zhao to old Sean's bedroom. Old Sean was in the wheelchair, as always, and had 2 servants beside him. Sean waved his hand and the servants left. Chen Zhao went over to check old Sean's pulse, heartbeat, and tongue. Then he asked, what has old Sean eaten these past few days? Are you saying that he was poisoned? No, it's just a routine question. He would have a daily bottle of nutritious liquid and oatmeal with some meat. It's like that every day. Anything else? I don't think so. Check your father's servants or the kitchen. So it's still poison? It's only a minor amount of poison from red spider lily, Chen Zhao said. The red spider lily had a more well-known name, hellflower. Of course, it wasn't able to actually send you to hell. It could be put in medicine but had certain toxicity. It was pretty widespread, though it was mainly produced in Southeast Asia. It wasn't a rare type of plant. The hellflower wasn't highly poisonous. Of course, if you consumed too much or had health like old Sean, it could still easily be fatal. The person who did this was very careful. Old Sean only showed slight symptoms as well. After giving old Sean some antidote, Chen Zhao gave Sean some advice. Mr. Sean, I shouldn't get involved in your family matters, but I hope you do things after investigating fully instead of killing everyone related. Sean looked at him, surprised. After a pause, he nodded. Okay. Chen Zhao went to Ethan's motel. After greeting him, Chen Zhao went straight to Li Qing's room. Auntie Li, I'm here to check on you. Mr. Chen, I'm much better. You don't have to visit me every day. It's all right. I don't have much to do either. Li Qing glanced at Chen Zhao and studied him for a bit. Mr. Chen, you seem well today. Your brows are smooth. The shadows from earlier have disappeared. Did you solve some big problem? Chen Zhao smiled. Li Qing's eyes were as sharp as ever. I took care of that thing. You did it by yourself. No, I had some friends. Mr. Chen has wide connections, as expected. Oh, did you read the scriptures of my Qingyi sect? I read some. Is there anything that you don't understand? Chen Zhao listed everything that he didn't understand and Li Qing answered them one by one. The Qingyi sect wasn't a big sect in China. It had experienced many ups and downs to be passed on to the present day. Its style was small but detailed. It didn't have any majestic or shocking spells. Most of the techniques were used for individuals, with some auxiliary techniques mixed in. This had something to do with the founder of the Qingyi sect, Xiangliu Qingyi. Rather than the evil god by the same name, this man was from the end of the Tang dynasty. At first, Xiangliu was the heir of the Mei sect. He was greatly talented and received the true inheritance of Mei. Then he left the mountain and wandered through the world. He became known for his medical abilities and saved many lives. Because war erupted often, the commoners had difficult lives. Xiangliu started his own sect and took up Qingyi as his title. Xiangliu was the title given to him by his teacher in the Mei sect. He kept this name to show respect for the Mei sect. Later, people referred to the founder of the Qingyi sect as Xiangliu Qingyi. He'd read many medical books, so many of the Qingyi sect's techniques were related to medical practices. It also contained the techniques of the Mei sect, so it was also able to defeat demons. The Mei sect was actually a branch of the Maro Mountain School, which was part of Taoism. Xiangliu Qingyi had started his own sect, but he never declared that he'd left the Mei sect. Thus, Qingyi and Mei were both closely connected to the Maro Mountain School. Chen Zhao could also tell from Li Qing's words that she guessed the Mei sect or Maro Mountain School had suggested Xiangliu Qingyi to found the Qingyi sect. The reason didn't have anything to do with modern-day matters, so it was just a topic for chit-chat. Chen Zhao and Li Qing weren't historians. They didn't have to be completely clear about things that had happened more than 1,000 years ago. Chapter 445 Sorcerer Killer. Chapter 445 Sorcerer Killer. After Chen Zhao left the motel, he received the invitation. He was greatly enlightened by the conversation with Li Qing. Li Qing was kind of his senior, and she had displayed an excellent understanding of the spells of Qingyi sect. Of course, this was not to say that Li Qing was powerful. In fact, Li Qing's combat power was probably much weaker than that of Chen Zhao. But it was only because the spells of Qingyi sect were not designed to be used in combat. Of course, Chen Zhao did not learn every single spell from the conversation. His inadequate magical power was the real limiting factor. Nevertheless, Chen Zhao found the spells really useful for medical treatment. For example, if he were to encounter Hoffman's situation again, he would be much more confident. "Ms. Rupert, may I ask how's it going?" Pierce South called Rupert again. When Rupert heard his voice, she was enraged at once. "I've already attacked him, and I failed. According to our agreement, you need to pay me the remaining balance," Rupert said. "What? You failed? Ms. Rupert, you must be joking. You're a famous witch in LA. Why would you lose to that Chinese? What do you know about that Chinese?" Rupert sounded more and more displeased. Chen Zhao was an out-and-out monster who even killed Evangeline. She had already attacked Chen Zhao twice, both of which failed. His magical resistance was too high. According to Sienna, he even had the incredible strength to fight with Evangeline head-on. If she really irritated Chen Zhao, he might just tear her to pieces. Anyhow, Rupert was determined that she would never attack Chen Zhao again. No matter what, he's just a wizard. Wizard? Just a wizard? Rupert was mad. I cast a curse from his back, and he actually told me that my curse tastes nice. Do you know how I felt? I'm not even thinking about finding him for revenge now, but finding you. Pierce almost dropped his phone on the floor. Was that Chinese really so scary? You better pay me the remaining amount, or I'll find you, and then tell the Chinese your whereabouts. I believe he'll be happy to pay me for that. All right. I'll pay you. Pierce did not know if Rupert was blackmailing him. Perhaps Rupert did not even attack Chen Zhao. Perhaps it was just blackmail. But Pierce had no choice. After all, who asked him to find Rupert? If he rejected this, Rupert might really expose him to the Chinese. Nonetheless, Pierce was even more dissatisfied. Suddenly, Pierce had an idea. He would not find another witch in LA, lest he be cheated again. How about a foreign association? As a wizard, Pierce more or less knew some supernatural people or information. Sorcerer killer? That would be expensive. Is it really worth it? Pierce fell into silence. Sorcerer killers were obviously hired to kill sorcerers. Of course, sorcerer killers were sorcerers themselves, which was exactly why they knew the weaknesses of sorcerers. After making up his mind, Pierce logged into a website and issued a post. Soon, he received a call. It was a woman's voice. "Did you make the $1 million offer?" "Yes," Pierce answered. "500,000 deposit. Tell me the target's location, identity, and power. If I succeed, I'll find you for the remaining amount. If I fail, I won't disturb you again. Are you sure you can complete the task? The witch I hired previously took my money without attempting the task. She even blackmailed me. I can only promise that I'll try my best to complete the mission. You can check my history. I have a 100% success rate on my 9 missions. I won't destroy my perfect record just for 500,000. That's great." Gritting his teeth, Pierce paid another 500,000 and sent Chen Zhao's information to the killer. When Chen Zhao got home, Obitos crawled to him and placed his forelimbs on Chen Zhao's body. "Ada, father said that he'll summon you to hell tonight." "Okay, at midnight still?" "Yes." Chen Zhao summoned Samuel. "Samuel, I need the skeletons of demonic beasts, preferably those with magical power. You need to trade something with me. Those skeletons are just piled up before your place. Don't you feel embarrassed for being so greedy?" "Why would I be embarrassed? They still belong to me, even if they're useless. Also, I've made my investigation. Fried chicken drumsticks and ham sausages are just ordinary food. You've been using cheap items to trade with me." Samuel stared at Chen Zhao with righteous indignation. "Wait, you're the one who wanted the trade, not me. I don't care. I feel deceived." "Fine, so the deal is off then?" "Forget it. I'll find another demon. You're not the only demon in hell. I don't accept this. Who dares to trade with you? Do you believe that I'll go and destroy the true forms of those petty demons around you now?" Chen Zhao suddenly took out the enormous piece of perfect angelic crystal. "What did you say? Repeat that. Wait, take that away from me. Damn. Why do you have such a holy object?" Samuel wanted to escape, but Chen Zhao grabbed his neck. He could not break free at all. The other pets in the house had long fled from the place. None of them would stay in the living room. The entire villa was enveloped in a holy aura. Samuel was both the weakest and the strongest demon present. Moreover, he was closest to the perfect angelic crystal. The Samuel Chen Zhao was holding was only a projection, but just like a person's limbs, it would affect his true form. Samuel's true form was in as much pain as his projection. Of course, the perfect angelic crystal was far from enough to kill Samuel. His true form would continuously send power to his projection, which was therefore unkillable. Precisely because of that, however, he would consistently receive damage from the perfect crystal. "Fine. I apologize. Then let's talk about the deal." Chapter 446, Forest Shepherd. Chapter 446, Forest Shepherd. "I want 100 cows. Samuel knew how to make huge demands now. Then he added, "I want the kind from last time." "The kind from last time? The kind that Rhea had brought?" Chen Zhao had asked around. That cow's market price was around $1,500. This meant that he would have to spend $150,000. Alright, it was unrealistic for him to keep taking advantage of Samuel. This kind of request was reasonable. "Hi, Rhea. It's Chen Zhao. How come you're calling me?" Rhea was surprised to get his call. "I need cows. Chen, I'd supplied you last time because it was a special reason. Don't think you can take advantage of me every time. I didn't plan on taking advantage. I want 100 cows. Sell them according to market value." "Why do you need so many cows?" "Well, I want them. Will you sell them?" "Sure, but where do you want me to bring them to?" Since it was a regular exchange, Rhea had no reason to reject him. After all, her ranch was an open business. 100 cows was only small business, but she'd attended Chen Zhao's party, so she still had to help him. Take them to my house. You don't plan on raising cows near your house, right? I've been there. It's not suitable for cows. The salt content is too high. It's difficult to plant trees, let alone ranch pastures. Plus, you know the smell too. I advise against raising cows in your own house. You got it wrong. I don't plan on raising them. I just need beef. Beef? You want to feed everyone in town to eat beef? It's a personal need. Anyway, transport them over. Fine. An hour later, Rhea drove 2 trucks over. These were specially for transporting cows. They were up to 20 meters long and had 4 levels. One truck could fit 50 cows. Just put them here? Rhea asked. Leave the trucks here for now. I don't want to let them out and shit everyone. Even inside the truck, they already had a strong smell. If they were released, the surroundings would probably all be polluted. Even though their manure was good fertilizer, Chen Zhao really didn't want it. These 2 trucks are more expensive than the 100 cows. Borrowing. I'm just borrowing them. After Chen Zhao paid, Rhea brought her crew away. Chen Zhao put all the cows into the spatial ring. Thankfully, it was windy here. The smell quickly dissipated in the wind. It didn't pollute the environment around his home. After waiting an hour, Chen Zhao had Rhea call someone over to drive the trucks away. Farley, I have to go to that place after midnight. 24 hours. Oh, shouldn't you bring some things to your friends over there? I already did, Chen Zhao said, pursing his lips. 100 cows. 100 cows. Do you have a lot of friends there? Farley, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Then what should I ask? Whatever, nothing. 100 cows, $150,000. Chen Zhao's heart was in pain. Meow, meow. Don't be sad. I'll just compensate you something. Chen Zhao glanced at Samuel. Go away. Stop annoying me. Before midnight came, Samuel stuck to Chen Zhao's side. I really will compensate you. What do you want? I'm serious. I swear as a demon king. Samuel might have thought that he'd really made a huge demand this time and felt bad. How about I give you a forest shepherd? Samuel asked. What's that? Those tree people you saw when you came to hell that day. They're the forest shepherds. What do? They can take care of the plants nearby. Like, they can control what plants need what nutrients. A forest shepherd can control an entire forest. Chen Zhao was tempted. His house was built, but it lacked greenery. After all, turning a place green couldn't be done in a day. His original plan was being able to see verdure when he looked in the back. But because of the soil here, the backyard was still very empty. The bushes he'd planted were sparse too. It would be difficult to have changes in the next few years. If he could have a forest shepherd, this might change. Are you sure they can adjust to the soil and environment of the human world? Of course. They're not demons. They're not demons. They're a type of tree spirit and can adjust to any environment, even deserts. They can also change themselves to adjust to the environment. Okay. Since you're so sincere, I'll manage to forgive you this time. You forgave me? Yes. Then can you give me some spices? Shit. Chen Zhao should have known that this bastard was taking a step back and apologizing to him for an ulterior motive. He wanted spices from the human world. But those who took from others had to give in. Chen Zhao could only go to the supermarket and buy all the spices there. When the worker saw him take all the spices, he thought Chen Zhao had gone crazy. But it's Obito's dad summoning me this time. Do you know where his territory is? I don't need to know. I only have to remember your smell. I can find you even if you're on the other end of the blood sea. Oh, Obito's dad is fighting with one of your subordinates. Don't get involved. Adults never get involved in children's fights, Samuel said indifferently. To Samuel, Beelzebub Zophi's war with his neighbor was like kids fighting. Chen Zhao waited until midnight. The summoning came as planned. Kaboom! A giant explosion sounded in his ears. The ground shook as well. Chen Zhao felt that the tall platform under him was breaking apart. It wasn't just a feeling. It really was breaking. Ah! Help! Chen Zhao freaked out. A 100-meter tall monster was ramming against the platform. The ground slipped away from him. He started falling toward the beast's head. This beast was Lord Logan's true form, a huge black lion. When Chen Zhao fell on his head, Logan also noticed him. I'd heard long ago that Beelzebub Zophi knows a living being. Logan's voice boomed in Chen Zhao's ears. It really is true. Chapter 447, The Most Miserable Trip to Hell. Chapter 447, The Most Miserable Trip to Hell. Just then, Beelzebub Zophi and Oris transformed into their true forms and leaped at Lord Logan. Clearly, they did not expect Logan to suddenly attack them during Chen Zhao's summoning. As a result, Chen Zhao was captured. He lay on Logan's head, holding on to his man'er tightly. With his current power, Chen Zhao was not much better than an ant before a real superior demon. Leave the living. Beelzebub Zophi attempted to bite Logan. But all he received was a scratch on the face. Beelzebub Zophi did not dare to use full strength, given that Chen Zhao was on Logan's head. He and Oris only wanted to get Chen Zhao back. Logan knew that too, so he was not planning to fight at all. Whoosh! Flapping his black wings, Logan was already thousands of meters away. With his bloated body, Beelzebub Zophi was too slow to chase Logan. Speed was not his forte. On the other hand, Oris dove from the sky and gave chase. Her speed was not slow, even very fast. However, just then, a few superior demons blocked her path. They were there to help in Logan's retreat. But could they stop Oris? Certainly not. Oris was a fire dragon, in addition to being a superior demon. She was one of the strongest demons below demon kings. Blocking Oris with a few superior demons was similar to blocking a fierce tiger with a few dogs. The few superior demons only managed to be a foil for Oris' powers. However, with just the few minutes that they had delayed, Logan made his getaway. Logan, I'm going to burn you to ashes. Come back. Come back. You coward. Bastard. Logan knew that there was no turning back. Oris and Beelzebub Zophi must have launched an attack on his territory. From their insane status just now, it was clear that they would not give up until one of the parties was annihilated. Human, work with me. I will give you whatever Beelzebub Zophi would give you. No, Chen Zhao rejected at once. Then I'll have to kill you. Wait, I'm suddenly interested in cooperation. Let's discuss the details. All Chen Zhao had to do now was to make as much time as possible and wait for Oris and Beelzebub Zophi's rescue. Or for Samuel to arrive. Before any of this happened, he had to stay alive. What details? I need angelic crystals. Give me all your angelic crystals. Then what will you give me in return? Your life, Logan said. What else? Chen Zhao's face darkened. Logan was clearly going to rob him. And I won't hurt you. And? Nothing, Logan answered. Do you know what Beelzebub Zophi gives me during a trade? I don't need to know. I'm not a fool like him, Logan interrupted Chen Zhao. Remember that your life is in my hands. Chen Zhao had no idea how much distance Logan had flown for. Finally, he stopped in a mountain forest and turned to normal form. Logan's normal form was 3 meters tall. He had a lion head and a tail and looked pretty burly. Human, have you made up your mind? Without any benefits, I will not trade or cooperate with you. Even if I kill you. Chen Zhao kept silent, thinking about whether he should compromise or be stubborn. It was a big problem. Logan looked very irascible. Chen Zhao really suspected if he could survive a single blow from him. Fine. I'm scared. Chen Zhao took out an angelic crystal and Logan grabbed it. He seemed disgusted, but he did not run away from the crystal like most demons would. More! Don't tell me you only have one. I indeed only have one, Chen Zhao said helplessly. One is not enough to keep your life. Chen Zhao unwillingly took out another piece. You've just shattered my impression of demons. Petty human, this is hell. A great lord is standing before you. Not every demon is as abject as Beelzebub Zophie, Logan announced proudly. Logan is as sickening as those racists. I don't understand why a human can be so respected in hell. How ridiculous and foolish. Logan stared at Chen Zhao from above. Give me all your angelic crystals. I know you have more. No, I don't. No, you do. Beelzebub Zophie and Oris would not have been so aggressive unless they have more angelic crystals. Chen Zhao looked at Logan. What if I'm not giving them to you? I have many ways to make sure you do. With a ferocious smile, Logan pointed his finger at Chen Zhao's chest. Immediately, Chen Zhao's chest was penetrated and a beam of blood erupted. Like this. Chen Zhao collapsed onto the ground and covered his chest in agony. Many black markings appeared around the wound. Logan stepped on Chen Zhao with one foot and looked at him from above. Human, never challenge me. My temper isn't great. Chen Zhao vomited some blood from his mouth, but he stared at Logan with an unyielding look. If I have the chance, I'll repay you with pain that's 1,000 times worse than this. Ha ha. Human, do you really think you'll have the chance to avenge yourself? Logan laughed wildly. Logan lowered his body and scratched Chen Zhao's chest with his finger. His claws were sharper than the sharpest dagger. He really enjoyed torturing and killing the weak. When you've made up your mind, I'll give you a quick death. Chen Zhao panted loudly as severe pain struck each of his nerves. You better kill me quickly, or you'll lose the opportunity to. Chen Zhao gritted his teeth, his face filled with ruthlessness. No, I shall torture you slowly. Not just your body, but also your soul. You'll suffer eternal torment. Accept your fate. Chapter 448, Cruel Kill. Chapter 448, Cruel Kill. Last chance. Why do I need a chance to kill you? I can do that whenever I want. Logan sneered. Chen Zhao smiled meaningfully and covered his ears. Boom. The next moment, Logan's body flew out like a kite with a broken string. Completely shocked, he looked at the black shadow that appeared before him. The black and deep power was filled with boundless fury. Logan gulped. The power was enough to freeze his blood. Your Majesty, Logan gives you the greatest respect. Logan knelt on the ground. Who told you to attack my guest? Samuel stared coldly at Logan. Chen Zhao stood up with difficulty and looked down at his chest. Not only was there a fist-sized hole, but there were also many black threads around it. Samuel, help me look at what this is. Samuel turned and looked at Chen Zhao's chest. He grinned. Not bad. From now on, you'll be my descendant. How about you change your name to Samuel Chen Zhao? What do you think? Fuck off, Chen Zhao said with a dark expression. Logan's knees turned weak. This human was Samuel's guest. But didn't Beelzebub Zophie summon him? How did he become the guest of the King of Wrath? Judging from their conversation, they were very familiar too. What's so bad about being my descendant? You can have a pair of cool black wings. I'm gonna lose my temper. Fine, fine, Samuel said unwillingly. I'll extract the blood of wrath from you later. He pointed at Logan. How should we deal with him? Looking at Logan, Chen Zhao suddenly grinned. However, this moved his injury and he hissed at the pain. Lord Logan, do you remember what I said earlier? Living Lord. I'm very sorry for my offense. No need to apologize, Chen Zhao said, smiling. I'm a very kind person. I'll never hold a grudge. Logan smiled inwardly. This truly was a stupid human. Samuel, help me capture him. What do you want to do to him? Just hand him over to me. No, this is my personal matter. Samuel reached out. A black shadow broke free from his hand and whooshed toward Logan. Logan was unable to fight off the King of Wrath's restraint. He could only get restrained obediently. However, he wasn't worried. As long as the King of Wrath didn't act, A human couldn't do anything to him. You wanted the angelic crystals? I'll give them to you. Chen Zhao took out the biggest perfect angelic crystal. Logan could feel the pure light radiating from the crystal. It was like a red-hot brand and made him feel extremely uncomfortable. You want angelic crystals, right? You want angelic crystals. For you, all for you. Chen Zhao grabbed the perfect angelic crystal and slammed it down on Logan's head. A few hits later, Logan's head was covered in blood. Force his mouth open, Chen Zhao called. Samuel didn't care if his descendant was willing or not. He forcefully opened up Logan's mouth. No. Don't do this to me. I'm willing to submit to you. I'm willing to submit. Logan finally realized the severity of this problem. Chen Zhao didn't plan on letting Logan go so easily. He stuffed the perfect angelic crystal straight into Logan's mouth. Even Samuel, the king of wrath, found Chen Zhao's actions very cruel. You wanted the angelic crystals. I'm giving them to you. Eat it. Eat it all. Didn't you want angelic crystals? Come on, here they are. All for you. Eat it. Chen Zhao stuffed his hand into Logan's mouth. Logan bit down on Chen Zhao's hand. Chen Zhao was in pain, but he couldn't take his hand back. However, Logan had a huge piece of perfect angelic crystal in his mouth, so he couldn't bite down completely. You dare to fight back? Chen Zhao was even more furious. He activated the mouth of gluttony and bit down inside Logan's mouth. Logan finally let go. A chunk of flesh inside his mouth had fallen off. Chen Zhao took 2 steps back. He felt unprecedentedly full. His stomach bulged too. It was only a piece of flesh, but he actually felt fuller than eating the entire Evangeline. The hole on Chen Zhao's chest also healed visibly. The black threads under his skin disappeared gradually. Chen Zhao stared at Logan breathlessly. Logan was also on his last breath too. The perfect angelic crystal filled his mouth completely. It was like a human having a mouthful of nuclear waste. What kind of feeling was that? Just then, Samuel walked over. He dug out the piece of perfect angelic crystal and tossed it back to Chen Zhao. This was Samuel's true form. Nothing in this world could hurt him, not even angelic crystals, the so-called demon kryptonite. Even if powerful lords were scared, Samuel had no reaction. After all, he was a demon king. He had no enemies in hell. Chen Zhao caught the perfect angelic crystal. It was half its original size now. He's not dead yet, Samuel said. I want his flesh, Chen Zhao said. Samuel didn't waste time. The black shadow that split from him dug straight into Logan's body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, Logan's blood splashed everywhere. His flesh and bones were separated. The bones were still bloody while his flesh hovered in the air. You want to keep the meat? To feed the guys at home, Chen Zhao said. Take out the stuff I wanted. Chen Zhao tossed the 100 cows and large amounts of spice onto the ground. Samuel's black shadow whooshed across the ground and everything disappeared. Then Samuel's black shadow enlarged and a tall tree man appeared before Chen Zhao. This forest shepherd was 40 meters tall. He had a thick waist around 4 or 5 meters wide. He had red bark and dark green leaves. If one only looked at him, he was like a mature tree. From now on, he is your master. Yes, your majesty, king of wrath. Then Samuel said, I brought a few skeletons for you. Do you still want them? Bring them all. Chen Zhao didn't reject him. After cleaning up, Samuel said, okay, we're even. Next time you want anything, remember to tell my projection. With that, Samuel transformed back into a black shadow and disappeared. Chen Zhao didn't have time to say anything or have Samuel bring him back to Obsidian Castle before Samuel ran. That bastard, Chen Zhao cursed. He looked at the forest shepherd. Right, what's your name? Master, I am Eugenius. Do you know where Obsidian Castle is? Yes. Bring me there. Yes, master. Eugenius extended a branch. Chen Zhao sat on it and Eugenius started striding forward. Chapter 449 Learning How to Make Gargoyles. Chapter 449 Learning How to Make Gargoyles. Very soon, Chen Zhao regretted his decision, because Eugenius is really too slow. In an hour, he merely covered a kilometer. Even Chen Zhao himself was faster than this. With his speed, they would not reach Obsidian Castle in years. Fortunately, Oris found them just then. Human, here you are. Oris' enormous body landed on the ground. Were you caught by this forest shepherd? Where is Logan? Where did he hide? Oris was already preparing dragon breath in her mouth. Chen Zhao had little doubt that it would burn Eugenius into charcoal. Oris, stop, he's my servant, not an enemy. Servant? How did you get a forest shepherd? My friend gave him to me. Your friend? Then where's Logan? Dead. Chen Zhao took out Logan's head. Oris was flabbergasted. Even a living Logan could not shock her. But a dead Logan was truly frightening. How did you do it? I stuffed a perfect angelic crystal in his mouth. Oris gasped. Tragic. Now that Logan's dead, do you still need perfect angelic crystals? Chen Zhao asked. Yes, it's something that can kill great demon lords. This will be one more guarantee for my husband and me, Oris said. What do you need? I need to know how to make gargoyles. Let me bring you back to Obsidian Castle first. Keep the forest shepherd. Sitting on Oris' back, Chen Zhao could finally relax. Oris was way bigger than Obito's, in addition to her more stable and faster flight. In no time, Chen Zhao was in Obsidian Castle again. The place was filled with the wreckage of the war, as well as corpses of demons. Ha ha! Human, I knew you'd be fine. Beelzebub Zophi patted Chen Zhao's shoulder in excitement. Chen Zhao felt that the tap had just shortened his life by 3 years. Oris, did you save him from Logan? No, he killed Logan. No way. There's no way he could have done it. But he did. Is Logan really dead? Yes. Really? Beelzebub Zophi was even more delighted. With various demons beside him, he was about to go and rob Logan's territory. Stay here. Oris stopped Beelzebub Zophi. Human needs gargoyles and the way to make them. All right, I'll ask someone to make a few now, Beelzebub Zophi said. Be quick. He's already wasted a lot of time here. Now he only has 6 hours before his return. Fine, I'll go and prepare now. Beelzebub Zophi could only temporarily curb his urge to loot his neighbor. Turning around, he went to prepare what Chen Zhao needed. He's the best artisan in Obsidian Castle. He made the red moon heart last time. Beelzebub Zophi introduced a short demon to Chen Zhao. A third of the demon's body was metal, and it seemed like he had installed it himself. Beelzebub Zophi added, Arnold, the human here is my distinguished guest. He wishes to learn how to make gargoyles. Teach him. Be detailed. Yes, my lord. Arnold saluted Beelzebub Zophi with great respect. Then, he turned to look at Chen Zhao. Living lord, I'll now show you how to make a gargoyle. Great. Thanks, Arnold. First, use soil, or any other material with high plasticity, to make an outline. Chen Zhao watched the demonstration very carefully, and Arnold also performed it seriously. Next, place a soul into the statue, and then bake it with hellfire. Lastly, draw some magical inscriptions on the statue. Done. Simple, right? Looks simple. Have you learned it? No, can I watch again? Of course. Firstly. Lastly. Have you learned it this time? Nope. How about now? Can I place any soul? Yes. Must I use hellfire? Hellfire can incinerate any awareness left in the soul, and at the same time combine the soul with the statue. Other flames generally do not have such an effect. Arnold said, Living Lord, would you like to try it yourself? Chapter 450, Terrifying Skeleton. Chapter 450, Terrifying Skeleton. Human, Beelzebub, Zophie said seriously. You have a share of the war spoils. Next time you come to hell, I'll have it prepared. Bye. Chen Zhao's body disappeared gradually. As soon as Chen Zhao got home, Farley came downstairs. Farley, how did you know I'm back? I had the housekeeper remind me. Chen Zhao caught Farley, who hopped over. Did you miss me? Farley didn't speak. She just kissed him deeply. What did you bring back this time? Chen Zhao pulled Farley out of the house to the backyard. Is it really big? We even have to go outside. Very big. Chen Zhao opened his hand and released Eugenius. Farley was surprised as she watched Eugenius move his body slowly. A tree man? Pretty much. Chen Zhao nodded. His name is Eugenius, also known as a forest shepherd. What does that mean? He'll help us take care of the surrounding plants. In the future, if we need to plant something or make something grow faster, he can help us. Can I touch him? Of course. Farley touched Eugenius' thick skin. It didn't feel any different from regular tree bark. Master, what do I need to do now? Eugenius asked. The surrounding soil isn't very good. Do you have any solutions? I can get rid of the material in the soil that is bad for plants, Eugenius said. But the soil is too poor. I can't make it fertile. Chen Zhao suddenly thought of something. He took out an angelic crystal. Is this useful toward you or the plants? Angelic crystal. Eugenius suddenly grew excited. He wasn't a demon, so he didn't fear angelic crystals. The crystal could help promote plant growth, so it naturally was effective on him too. Master, can you give that to me? Chen Zhao had taken the angelic crystal out just to give Eugenius. Take it. Great Master, thank you for your benevolence. You are even greater than Samuel. I will make all the surrounding plants grow. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. This guy was such a sweet talker. He said whatever the other wanted to hear. Would he dare to say that if Samuel was here? Is one angelic crystal enough to change the surrounding soil? Not enough. How many do you need? 5. No, 3 is enough. I'll give you 5. If the surrounding trees can't grow well enough, I'll burn you into cinders. Of course. Thank you once again for your kindness. When Chen Zhao and Farley woke up the next day, they discovered that the trees in the backyard were already thriving. However, Eugenius was extremely eye-catching in the middle. He was too tall, at least twice as tall as the house. Farley had the inferior demons go water Eugenius, but he didn't really need water. Plus, they were close to a lake. They could lack everything but not water. After Farley went to work, Chen Zhao started arranging the stone demons. Blackie, these 2 one-eyed giants are for you. Chen Zhao, did you learn how to make the stone demons? I know the general method. But do you know how to sculpt? No, Blackie paused. I'll go learn how. And you need hellfire. After thinking, Blackie said, actually, you don't need hellfire all the time. You can ignite it when you need it. It's best if you wait until I go to hell. Chen Zhao and Blackie didn't have that much money. Lighting hellfire was quite expensive. Plus, they didn't have the kindling. If they wanted hellfire, they would have to visit hell. If they only went to hell for the kindling, it would be very unrealistic. It was best to wait until the demons in hell summoned Chen Zhao and then get some kindling along the way. Sienna, I got the skeleton you wanted last time. Come get it. Sienna, Chris, and Shirley arrived in less than half an hour. As soon as they arrived, they started raiding his fridge. The 3 had come just to get a free meal, so they started preparing lunch immediately. Where's the skeleton you mentioned? Chen Zhao went downstairs and tossed an armful of bones to Sienna. Sienna took the bones and observed them. What's with these bones? It looks like it's been dead for a long time and most of the magic had scattered. If I use it to make potions, it won't be very effective. Wait a bit longer. Chen Zhao went to the basement again and carried up 2 bloody bones. Sienna was shocked. She looked at the two bones, not daring to go forward. It's not a human's, Chen Zhao explained hurriedly, afraid that Sienna would misunderstand. I obviously know it's not a human's. Sienna glanced at him. What kind of creature is it? The magic is terrifying. I can feel my magic resonating with it. Can you use it? No shit. I've never seen such terrifying magic ripples. Did you go hunt it specially? It's probably stronger than Evangeline, right? Evangeline was nothing compared to Logan. Logan was a demon lord. Before him, Evangeline was at most just a small figure. Even Logan's subordinates were stronger than Evangeline. I didn't imagine that there would be such strong magical creatures in this world, Sienna lamented. In the recent century, there are fewer and fewer magical creatures in the natural world. It's getting more difficult to make potions. Chen, you didn't kill this creature just for the magic potion, right? No, it was an accident. I almost died in its hands. It could even put you in danger? Sienna asked, amazed. It was unprecedented danger. In terms of power, I'm much weaker than him. Sienna couldn't imagine how strong the owner of these two bones had been. Chen Zhao didn't know how she would feel if she knew that these bones belonged to a demon lord of hell. When will I get the potion? I need to collect some ingredients. Give me an estimate. Around 2 weeks. Chen, look. I caught a fish. Shirley was in a swimsuit and excitedly swung a catfish around. The catfish was at least 30 or 40 kilograms. It definitely wasn't weaker than an adult human in the water, but Shirley grabbed it easily. Shirley could only play freely at Chen Zhao's place. Plus, there were many things to play with here. There was also a group of pets. Instead of being scared, they would have fun with her. After all, regular cats and dogs would all get terrified and escape when they saw Shirley. Chapter 451, Robber Rupert. Chapter 451, Robber Rupert. After lunch, Sienna, Chris and Cheryl left with many packs of items. The 3 bandits had come to Chen Zhao's place with a clear goal in mind. Chris, drive faster. Why are you in such a hurry? These are all good stuff. The more time we waste, the more magical power they will lose. With the magical power potions I make from these, I'll become stronger. Then we can earn more money and live in a bigger house. Can we build a house like Chen's? Cheryl asked. Both Sienna and Chris kept silent. Kid, stop making things awkward. Fine, you're still young. They would love to build a villa, but they could even afford a normal one, let alone one similar to Chen Zhao's. As soon as the 3 returned home, Rupert and Camilla approached them. What a strong magical aura. Rupert sniffed. Where is it coming from? Camilla also sniffed. Finally, the 2 looked at Sienna. At Sienna's backpack, to be precise. Sienna immediately hugged her backpack. Rupert, why are you here? Why didn't you call me in advance? Sienna, what's in your bag? Nothing. Show it to me. There's nothing. Stop coming closer to me. Rupert was used to being pampered. She cast electrocute at Sienna at once. Sienna trembled and her backpack also dropped on the floor. Rupert immediately walked up to snatch the bag, but Cheryl seized the bag with an amazing reaction. Little girl, how dare you take my stuff? Rupert was about to cast electrocute at Cheryl when Sienna finally recovered. She grabbed her wand and cast electrocute back at Rupert. Rupert was knocked into the shelf behind before standing up awkwardly. You dare to attack me? So what? Electrocute. Electrocute. Confusion. Weak. Blind. Disorientation. The entire living room was thrown into a mess by flying spells. In the end, the 2 sat on the floor, panting. Bones of a magical creature? Rupert shivered in excitement when she caught a glimpse of the bloody bones in the backpack. Her eyes glowed brightly. You're making magical power potions? Let me warn you, these are not mine, but Chen's. If you dare to take them, you better be ready for his anger. Sienna used Chen Zhao to intimidate Rupert. When Rupert heard that, she began to hesitate. After all, She knew how powerful Chen Zhao was. Where did he find such a strong magical creature? Are there still creatures in the world that are this powerful? Rupert stared at the part of the bones outside the backpack. From the magical aura on the bones alone, she could tell that the creature was definitely no weaker than Evangeline, even stronger. Rupert did not know how insane Chen Zhao had to be to hunt such a terrifying creature for its bones. No, it's not a magical creature. Just then, Camilla shouted, "It's a demon. It's the bones of a demon. He killed a demon." Sienna and Rupert gasped. Hunting a demon. Teacher, are there demons in this world? Rupert asked curiously. I have not seen one for myself, but I have seen the bones of a demon, Camilla said. It's an old witch in the UK. She had a demon's skeleton in her collection. I've seen a demon. That time, Chris was harassed by a demon. We were helpless, but then Chen came and defeated the demon. How powerful is that Chinese? Rupert sighed. Sienna, are you helping him to make magical power potions? Yap. You must have a share too. Those 2 bones are surely enough to make potions for 5 or more, Camilla said. Could you give Rupert one of the potions? Immediately, Rupert stared at Sienna, her eyes wet. Sister Sienna, please give me one. I'll help you to collect the other materials. Why are you only calling me sister now? I have wolf heart grass and a high-quality flower of glory. With my high-quality flower of glory, the magic potions will definitely double in strength. Sienna thought about it. It would not hurt to give Rupert one of the potions. She could give Chen Zhao 2 bottles, keep 2 for herself, and give one to Rupert. Fine. Bring your wolf heart grass and flower of glory here. Wow. Daddy, look. That tree is so tall. Faith was standing on the seat. She was raised with great freedom and would not sit in the baby seat. For her safety, Dell had to drive slowly. Nevertheless, Dell had also noticed the towering tree behind the villa in the distance. It's huge, Dell could not help but exclaim. Risfar's car was right behind them. The 2 naughty ones in his car were similarly shouting. After they parked their cars in the garage, Risfar and Dell pulled Chen Zhao to a corner. Chen, when did you move that tree here? It's such a good idea to plant a tree like this in the backyard, Dell commented. No climbing. When Risfar saw the 3 kids attempt to climb the tree, he quickly stopped them in fear. Let them climb, Chen Zhao said. They are only allowed to climb this particular tree. Risfar and Dell stared at Chen Zhao, baffled. The tree before them was clearly taller than the rest. Why was this the only tree they could climb? Chen, why is that so? It's a divine tree that I've specially planted here. The higher you climb, the more this tree will bless you. They won't be injured even if they fall. Chen, when have you become so superstitious? Come on, you've even drunk wine that makes you younger. Why don't you believe in a divine tree that could bless you? Johnny, what are you doing? Climbing the tree. I also want to be blessed, Risfar said. Then I'll climb too. Chen Zhao allowed them to play on Eugenis's body. When Risfar reached more than 10 meters high, he was already tired. Dell glanced at him. Johnny, you're old. Haha, Dell managed to climb higher than Risfar, but before he could finish laughing, he slipped. Ah, shit, Risfar exclaimed. He watched as Dell fell, unable to help. Chapter 452, Magical Tree. Chapter 452, Magical Tree. The next moment, Risfar realized that the tree's leaves were right under Dell. After falling 4 or 5 meters, Dell was caught by the branches and leaves. Huh! Dell looked around. He was sitting on the soft leaves. I'm that lucky. Dell, are you alright? Risfar asked. I'm okay. It's really comfortable. This is so interesting. You scared me. Ah. Suddenly, Vera yelped in shock too. When Risfar saw Vera slip, he was so scared that his heart almost stopped. But the next moment, Vera actually landed on a branch and leaf, unharmed. This was too coincidental. Did the tree actually have a spirit? Risvar climbed another 10 meters and looked down. He discovered that there was also a leaf and branch cushion below him. That was strange. There wasn't anything under him when he climbed up, right? Okay, come down now, Chen Zhao finally called to them. Chen, is this a magical tree? Why else would I plant it here? Where did you get this tree from? Risvar asked. I want one too. There's only one in this world. Don't even think about it. Why do I feel like Chen's home always has good things? Del asked through clenched teeth. I'm so jealous. Faith asks me every day when I'll take her here. Risvar didn't speak, because Vera and Ronnie were the same. The three went to the front yard. They changed into swimwear and started swimming in the lake. The 3 little girls were the same. They played in the lake. The 3 adults didn't have to look after them, because they weren't worried that they would be in danger. After all, Black Ma and White Ma were by their side. Amorn was sunbathing in the distance too. There weren't any dangerous creatures in the water, so the 3 girls were very safe. Chen, can that magical tree really bless people? How come we're back to this topic again? Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. If you believe it, then yes. If not, then no. Del and Risvar found it more and more magical as they thought back. Plus, Chen Zhao had sworn confidently that they wouldn't be in danger. It made them think that it may really be a magical tree. Yay! Faith cried from the distance. She was standing on Amorn's back. I won, I won. Vera and Ronnie climbed onto Amorn's back too. That doesn't count. You started first. Let's do it again. Faith is so strong. Is it okay to describe a 1-year-old as strong? But Faith really is healthy. Vera and Ronnie are really healthy too. Del was a bit proud. Faith was his daughter, after all. After a pause, he said, if they're not, you can have Chen give them a checkup. Fuck off. Vera and Ronnie don't need any checks. You shouldn't say that, Del said as if he was very experienced. Some conditions can't be seen from the outside. You think Faith is healthy, right? But I have Chen check once per month. Chen, is that true? Yeah, Chen Zhao said. Checkups aren't only for finding diseases. It's also for preventing them. Kids' immune systems aren't as strong as adults. It's always possible for them to be harmed from outside things, so they have to be checked periodically. Then, can you check them after lunch? Sure. After getting onto land, the 3 girls were still playing in the water. They didn't come back until they smelled the barbecue and surrounded the adults, asking for food. Chen, how come you're not drinking? Since I have to give them a checkup, I won't drink. The alcohol will affect my judgment. Del and Risvar didn't pressure him anymore. They respected Chen Zhao's professionalism. His medical abilities went without speaking. After all, they both benefited from it before. After they ate and drank, Faith, Vera, and Ronnie were pretty much done too. Chen Zhao gave the kids a checkup. They were all healthy. The 3 kids cooperated with him too. After all, if they didn't get a checkup, they wouldn't be allowed to play with the pets. They had to cooperate so they could play. Chen, remember we agreed to go hunting before you went to Sacramento? Sure. I'm pretty free these days. How about you two? Then tomorrow, Del said. You guys okay? Sure, tomorrow, Risvar said too. The 3 men agreed to not bring their family or even bodyguards. They would bring only their guns to the mountain. That night, Chen Zhao told Farley about it. Farley obviously wouldn't stop him. They all had their own social circle. She had her own too. Since Chen Zhao was going hunting instead of messing around, she would support him. However, Farley also said that they would go hunting together next time. At night, Chen Zhao called Risvar. Johnny, what should I bring tomorrow? Bring Black Ma and White Ma, Risvar said. Nothing else. If you bring Princess, all our food will be gone. Plus, her smell can scare the prey. We don't need tents or anything. I'll take care of all that. They planned on going deep into the mountain, so they would stay the night there. Tents and things were necessary. Risfar was like an expert in this. Whatever Chen Zhao could think of, he could definitely think of too. In fact, he would be more thorough. Next day, Chen Zhao led White Ma and Black Ma and met up with Risfar's family empty-handed. The three put the things they'd prepared into the trunk and went straight for the mountain. "I'll carry that." Chen Zhao picked up the biggest bag. The biggest one was around 30 kilograms. This weight was practically nothing to Chen Zhao. Risfar and Del both carried bags that weighed around 10 kilograms. Since they were going hunting, they had to take up their own responsibility. Chen Zhao could carry everything by himself, but that would make things boring. Hunting wasn't for killing animals. Rather, it was to enjoy the process. As for Black Ma and White Ma, they were going crazy with joy. They didn't have many chances to let loose in a forest. They could barely stop jumping up and down. "Chen, are you sure White Ma and Black Ma can help us hunt?" Risfar kind of regretted bringing these two. "Stop embarrassing me," Chen Zhao said with a dark expression. "Find me some prey." Chapter 453, Conflict in the Forest. Chapter 453, Conflict in the Forest. After a while, Black Ma returned with his first prey. Wolf. Chen Zhao kicked Black Ma in his anger. "Can you stop embarrassing yourself? With your size, you just came back with a mouse. Aren't you embarrassed?" "Master, when we were hungry in hell, we would always catch mice to eat." Hearing Black Ma's reply, Chen Zhao could not sympathize with him at all. They were poor only because they were unbelievably useless. Even if they had come back with a rabbit, Chen Zhao would not be mad. Dejected, Black Ma and White Ma went to search for prey again. However, just then, the group heard a gunshot in the distance. Next, Black Ma and White Ma bolted back. Chen Zhao, Del and Risfar's expressions changed. They had clearly not fired the shot, which meant that there was another group of people here apart from them. "Master, someone shot us just now. Let us go and kill them." "Are you injured? Were you hit?" Chen Zhao quickly checked the silly twins. Chen Zhao was glad that they were indeed unharmed. Just then, a few people walked out from the tall grass in front. It seemed like they were here to hunt as well. There were 6 of them. "Are those 2 wolves yours?" Chen Zhao frowned. "Can't you see the dog tags around their necks? We're deep in a mountain forest. Who cares about dog tags? You wolves are lucky to have survived." The few people sounded as if they had done the correct thing, with no intention to apologize at all. Chen Zhao tried his best to control his anger. It was obviously unwise to have a conflict here. Especially when both parties had guns. A conflict here could quickly become dangerous. Even if Chen Zhao was not scared, Del and Risfar were not invincible. Chen Zhao could not guarantee that the two would not be hurt in a conflict. Since they had come here together, Chen Zhao would like them to return together, instead of someone being carried out. "If someone shoots you again, bite the person to death. I'll be responsible for it," Chen Zhao said directly to the silly twins. "Kid, what did you say?" one of the hunters shouted. The hunters were not kind people. They actually all aimed their guns at Chen Zhao's party. Del and Risfar also lifted their guns. Chen Zhao stepped forward and stood before the two. "Put down your guns. Kid, you must apologize for your words. What if I say no?" Chen Zhao squinted. "Ha! Then be prepared to lose a limb." One of the hunters licked his dagger. To be honest, in a movie, such an action would make the character look ferocious. But in reality, it looked really foolish. Chen Zhao exercised his neck. "Then you better be prepared too." "Ha, prepare for what? You going to attack us? We have 6 guns." Suddenly, Chen Zhao, Black Ma and White Ma charged forward like 3 bolts of lightning. The 6 hunters were only 3 meters away from Chen Zhao. To Chen Zhao, it was as if they were standing right before him. Before the person closest to Chen Zhao could react, Chen Zhao had already crushed his chin with an uppercut. The others were about to aim their guns at Chen Zhao when the silly twins had made a circle and darted into the team from behind. Ah! Ah! Two of the hunters had their arms badly mutilated. The silly twins did not kill anyone. After taking a bite, they jumped into the grass again. With this opening, Chen Zhao grabbed the shoulders of two hunters and smacked them into each other. And so there was only one uninjured hunter left. With great fear, he pointed his gun at Chen Zhao but did not dare to fire. He could feel Black Ma and White Ma right behind him. Can you carry them down the mountain by yourself? Chen Zhao looked at the hunter from above. The hunter immediately dropped his gun and raised his hands. Buddy, you were too impulsive. We were just joking with you. Joking? I don't think people who point their guns at me are joking. Chen Zhao looked coldly at the last hunter. Scram. Don't appear before me again, or I'll feed you to the wolves. Chen Zhao took all their guns. He did not know if they would take a risk to wash their humiliation. The six held each other and left. Only then did Del and Risfar walk forward. They clearly did not expect Chen Zhao to attack the six directly. Chen, you should have told us in advance. How? There were 6 muzzles before us. You want me to tell you that I was going to attack them? Risfar and Del were speechless. Nevertheless, the battle had renewed their impression of the silly twins. Since they knew the silly twins, the two had been behaving like idiots. They were always so active and safe. Especially before children. No matter how a child hit or teased them, they would remain so loyal. However, Del and Risfar finally realized that Black Ma and White Ma were not huskies which only knew how to play. They were actual wolves. Risfar and Del found their sudden aggression and intelligence just now incredible. They actually knew how to cooperate with Chen Zhao and use tactics. It was also the precise reason why they were particularly reliable and safe. Del and Risfar would not be scared of the silly twins because of the incident, because they were only protecting their master loyally. In fact, they were even somewhat jealous. Having such pets at home would be a great protection to them and their families. Chen, how exactly did you train Black Ma and White Ma? Why are they just so smart? No, not just them, but also Princess. Chen, are you really not a beast tamer? Del said. Risfar nodded in complete agreement. They were indeed too clever. They were so clever that nobody could reject them. No pets could be compared to them. Actually, Laffer is smart too. No. Laffer is smart as a dog, but your pets have intelligence that has surpassed what a pet should have. After all, Risfar was also a dog lover, or he would not have spent $1 million to purchase Laffer. Precisely because he knew a lot about dogs, he could understand how intelligent Chen Zhao's pets truly were. No animal trainer could produce such a pet in his life. Chapter 454, We're Not Bad Guys. Chapter 454, We're Not Bad Guys. There's a wild hen. Black Ma, White Ma, don't move around on your own. Chen Zhao restrained the silly twins. Twice earlier, they'd gone after prey on their own, making the humans unable to shoot. The silly twins failed to catch the prey too. They were fast, but most of the prey were small and agile. Once scared, they would disappear instantly. Black Ma and White Ma were too impulsive. Even though they were demons, their natural wildness was just like a wolf. However, they didn't have a wolf's hunting techniques. They mostly chased after prey just to have fun. Risfar raised his gun and aimed at the wild hen eating in the grass. Bang! The gun went off. The hen's head exploded instantly. Amazing skills, Chen Zhao exclaimed. He turned toward Risfar, but his gun wasn't smoking. Chen Zhao was confused. It wasn't Risfar who fired. Then was it Del? Del's expression was confused too. Just then, a woman, all covered up in clothes, walked out. Sorry, that's mine. A dozen people showed themselves behind the huntress. They seemed to be a team. There were both young and old people, men and women. The variety of people looked more like a tourist group instead of a hunting team. Right then, A senior walked out of the group. He looked to be around 60 years old, but he wore camo clothing. "Hi," the man said. "Are you hunters?" "No, we're just enthusiasts, so we came here to hunt," Risvar answered. "People are hunting in this season. Aren't you all as well?" Chen Zhao asked. "Haha. That's true. Let's introduce ourselves. I am Carlo. We're a college field study group." "Oh, what do you study?" Chen Zhao studied the people behind Carlo. "Who are you trying to fool? You guys say you're a college field study group. Do you think we're blind?" Some of them had guarded eyes, as if cautious of Chen Zhao's trio. Why would a college field study group be like that? "You think I'm a fake college professor?" Other than Carlo, the old leader, the other dozen people were all tall and strong. They were fully equipped too. They honestly didn't look like some study group. Even the huntress from earlier was 1.8 meters. Her eyes were sharp and kept studying Chen Zhao, Risvar, and Del. They didn't hold regular hunting rifles. They looked like the standard military weapons. "We're a ruins expedition team," Carlo said. Did ruins expedition teams all have such amazing equipment nowadays? Chen Zhao didn't believe it. Anyway, Chen Zhao didn't believe it. "You call yourself an expedition team? You look more like mercenaries." "Oh, then we won't disturb you anymore. Bye." "Ha," Carlo laughed. "You think we're criminals, huh? Ah. Don't joke around like that." "Okay, we're not criminals," Carlo said, laughing heartily. "Of course, we're not a research team from the government or some college. We're a private expedition team. So, that means you won't suddenly start shooting at us?" Chen Zhao was confident in dealing with the 6 hunters from before because they weren't strong at all. Plus, they only had 1 unloaded rifle. But the dozen people before him now were not only fully equipped, but they also had vigilant eyes. Anyone who met their gaze would feel like retreating. So, Chen Zhao wasn't willing to get into a conflict with them. No matter what their background was, Chen Zhao didn't want to have anything to do with them, especially in these deep woods. The people behind Carlo all laughed as if laughing at Chen Zhao's ignorance. "Our guns aren't used against regular folks like you," the tall woman from earlier said. "Okay, I apologize for my mistake. Now, we're going hunting. Bye. You guys better not stay here for too long," Carlo called. "Go hunt elsewhere." But the 3 left without turning around. "Professor," Vanity said. "Why waste so much time talking to them? They don't trust us at all." "We should have acted meaner to scare them away," a black guy with no hair said. "Okay, don't bother with them anymore." Carlo waved his hand. "We've already made a warning. If they keep hanging out around here, we're not responsible if anything happens." "Risvar, could you tell who they were?" "I couldn't tell. They don't look like mercenaries or poachers." "Bullshit. There aren't any valuable wild animals here. How could there be poachers?" Del rolled his eyes. "But they don't look like good guys either. M4A1 carbines, plus the M9 Beretta and military knives, and they're all wearing bulletproof vests," Risvar said. "How are they here for research? It's like they're here for war. If they have any illegal motives, why didn't they attack us? Logically, they wouldn't want to be exposed. They would definitely want to try and capture us, or even kill us all." "Whatever," Risvar said. "No matter what they do, they probably don't mean harm to us. Let's not stay here anymore. We can go to another mountain so we don't run into them again." Chen Zhao and Del had the same idea. Who knew if that group would still interact with them peacefully if they met again? The 3 fumbled around in the forest. Del and Risvar had high social status, but they hadn't grown up coddled. They performed well in the wilderness and were very independent. Even Del, who'd messed around for a decade, had good shooting skills. He got a rabbit and a wild boar. Risvar only got a wild hen. As for Chen Zhao, he was empty-handed. "Haha, Chen, sucks to suck. Seems like hunting is Chen's weak spot. We have to go hunting more often." Bang! Chen Zhao missed again. The mountain goat in the distance disappeared in a flash. by the time Chen Zhao raised his gun again, the goat was nowhere to be seen. Slam. Chen Zhao threw his gun onto the ground in anger. Motherfucker, this gun isn't accurate. Risfar, you gave me a bad gun. It's definitely the gun's problem. Haha. Want to trade with me? There's a problem with the bullets too. Then trade the bullets too. Johnny, I think Chen will say there's something wrong with the gunpowder too. Just then, it started drizzling. Chapter 455 An Adventure Story. Chapter 455 An Adventure Story. How unlucky. It's actually raining. The three cursed and ran. On the other hand, Blackmar and Whitemar did not mind the rain at all. They continued to play in the wind and rain until their body was covered in mud. Just then, the three noticed a cave in front. Quickly go in there. When the three rushed into the cave, they realized that it was already occupied. Click. The three saw more than a dozen guns being pointed at them. They quickly lifted their hands in shock. Put down your guns. Carlo waved his hand. The people in the adventure team also recognized the three. Hello, what a surprise. The three almost peed their pants. Even Chen Zhao was unsure whether he could survive being shot by more than a dozen military automatic assault rifles. Come in. The rain is so heavy. You have nowhere else to go. The forest was warm and humid. In the rain, a person would lose water and heat at an astonishing rate. Even the strongest man would collapse after staying in the rain for just one night. Thank you. They had been actively avoiding the team and they clearly did not expect the second encounter. Now, they had no choice but to enter the cave, given that they really had nowhere else to hide. Come, remove your coats and dry them, Carlo said warmly. Their coats were waterproof, but it was indeed uncomfortable to keep them on. The three removed their coats. When the tall lady saw Chen Zhao's body, she whistled. You have a great body. Risfar and Del were somewhat unhappy, as their bodies were actually not bad either. Nevertheless, Chen Zhao had the perfect shape. Since Vanity saw Chen Zhao's muscles, she had been swallowing saliva at the corner. Vanity's comment caused major dissatisfaction among her teammates too. A man in vest glanced at Chen Zhao. So what if he looks good? He might not even be able to take a punch from me. Alright, I know you have 2 years of middleweight boxing experience. Even if you can win an outsider, what's there to be proud of? Vanity widened her eyes at her teammate. Chen Zhao ignored them and sat down beside the fire. Carlo brought the three a bottle of liquor. Come and drink some vodka. It can really warm you up. The three drank a bit and indeed felt much warmer. You're really not an illegal gang? I said, we're a private adventure team, or maybe treasure hunters. Carlo smiled. What are you looking for here? Chen Zhao asked curiously. Although they were deep in a mountain forest, it was only 100 kilometers from the city. Being so close to a populated area, what treasure could there even be? That I cannot tell you. Carlo smiled. Then where have you been in the past? Many places across all the 6 continents, Carlo replied. But you have guns and knives. Will there be any danger? Risfar asked curiously. Let me tell you a story, a middle-aged man suddenly said. It happened 12 years ago. At that time, we didn't have so many people. It's just me, Professor Carlo, and 4 other buddies. In Australia, we discovered an ancient Indian ruin. An Indian ruin in Australia? Risfar asked, confused. From what he recalled, the Indian society in Australia had been undeveloped, even primitive, before Western civilization kicked in. Their greatest architecture was probably tree houses. Don't ask me that. We're an adventure team, not an archaeological team, the middle-aged man said. Professor Carlo might be able to answer you. The middle-aged man glanced at Carlo and then continued, that ruin was underground. From its crafting and structure, the degree of civilization should be close to ancient Egypt 3,000 years ago. We explored the ruin all the way till the end, where we found a fist-sized blue diamond. Haha, you must be exaggerating. A fist-sized blue diamond? Del laughed. Fine. If you don't believe me, just take it as a fictional story. The middle-aged man was really well-tempered. He continued, we were elated. With the diamond, we were about to leave the ruin when we met many incomprehensible creatures. They had a slender body, 6 legs, and crawled on the ground. Then, they started attacking us recklessly. Back then, our equipment was pretty poor. We had 6 people, but only 4 pistols and a few military sabers. We ran as quickly as we could, and the monster kept chasing us. In the end, someone triggered a mechanism and the whole underground ruin began to collapse. Professor Carlo and I made it out, but the 4 others, together with the blue diamond, were buried forever. Risvar and Dell did not believe him. Professor Carlo, did that really happen? That's not the only case, Carlo said. Although you may think that it's impossible, we've explored many places over the years and encountered many strange things and creatures. For example, one time we accepted an invitation from the Chinese government and participated in the exploration of a crypt. We bumped into plants that attacked us. We lost 3 men. Really? Another time, we found an imperial mausoleum in Thailand. In there, we found some dolls that had been mummified. They attacked us as well. What are you looking for here? Do you know that 60 years ago, this very mountain forest was a weapon test site? The 3 shook their head. They had never heard about it before. We received some information from a madman in a mental hospital. When the military was testing their weapons here, they accidentally blasted an opening to an underground cave. Some terrifying creatures emerged from the cave and attacked the military camp. Less than a tenth survived, and they all became insane. You mean, we're in that weapon test site? Dell said with a stiff smile, swallowing some saliva. Those creatures either have territorial awareness, or they are being restrained by something. They cannot move too far away from the underground cave, so you would be fine if you stay close to the edge. The deeper you go, the more of these creatures you'll find. Woof, woof. Just then, Black Ma and White Ma, who were outside the cave, barked loudly. Chen Zhao immediately stood up and walked to the entrance. Black Ma and White Ma were barking at the darkness. Black Ma, White Ma, what's wrong? There's something there. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.